Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Um, Hi, James. Hi, Dennis. Um, how's it going? How is in How is in your area weather now? Hello. Hello, fellow Street Farm, please, from Colorado. So how's it going, guys? How's your weather in your area now, right now for the bees? So so Keith. Yeah, yeah. Today we have a lovely in UK temperature, about rain start about 11 before lunchtime. Rain start and still and windy now. So it's not great to work in the yard because the rain is not like heavy. Oh, for I'll just show you. Oh, Lisa, I see Lisa's going to be doing sunflowers. Looks like you picked up something from my video. It looks like. Yeah. So I got a question for you. You could just feel we will get more people soon. Um, how many of you actually are growing something for the bees? So I mean, flowers or trees in every year. Do you do something that in the back in your yard or in your back in the garden? That's a very interesting question for a lot of people. I grew every year, especially in for autumn. I always grew some for pollinator flowers, and I grew like Facilia, and I grew a lot of stuffs for typical for the bees in like mid September. So the bees have basically they have where they get a pollen and late nectar from they could bring it into the hives, which is important. And where I grew a lot of vegetables for the home, after you take them out, everything the garden is empty. So I straight away seeding flowers for for the bees, everything. So as soon as we pull anything else from the tomatoes or cucumbers or anything else from there, it's straight away we grew. So hi Lee. you want anybody want to join? You got link over there. You could join chat. So yeah, um yeah. See cosmos, yeah, lavender. Yeah, that lavender is really good for the bees. Really good. Uh, but you can do a lot of stuff. You look, you can see the lot flowers around there. Dandelions is really good. Yeah, May dandelions time. Yeah, that's in the May, early in spring. Um, in the this is in your back in the garden or back in. So we do a lot. I grew we grew lots of stuffs for the bees. Um, we got no choice because, and be honestly, the gardening and the beekeeping work together. Without bees, we don't have food in the shops, and that would be honestly true. It's not about honey. It's not about produce the queens. It's about pollinators our food for the our families and friends and run the world. What we do, the beekeepers. So, um, Bob, it's so important. We need to support them. We did plant a few trees last year. It will be planned get this year a few as well. So, um, but sunflowers is really good. You see, Ian planting lots of sunflowers. They grow lots of sunflowers in Canada for his base and lots of canola. That's massive support for the base. But yeah, well, Keith, it's not yet. It's cucumber. We will grow. I start normally them in April, so plenty time for cucumber. They're growing really fast, but we will start in end of March for home, no eating ones, small ones, um, cucumbers. But they will be quite not that size what I grew for the Guinness World Record. But I will grow this year big ones as well. So yeah. Um, oh, dinner coming, James. Oh wow. Yeah. Basically, I think the most powerful thing in beekeeping is the two factors in there. The beekeeper wants the bees good performance, but if we don't have nothing run the apiaries around around the area where we keep the bees, the performance will not be acting. A lot beekeepers talking about. If you did looking into Nathan last update about, it was reading book about how many beehives you should have in acres. So in the back of that days when I was young, and it was that was told me, he said it depends what area it is, but you need look up to 20 hives get in your apiary. So if you get 20 hives and you got some couple of nooks, couple of maybe mating nooks, your bees, the forage should be around the area quite good. If it obviously depends what area they are, but it's so important to not over population bees in around the apiary because the point coming in, the performance of the bees, if you have so many hives in there, the performance will go down. And it will go down because the bees only fly 3-4 miles. So you look into say just 3 miles if they do bringing in nectar or pollen from that area, they are really then you got it. But if you got like 50 or 100 hives in one place, you have to have really good forage over there. So like farmers have a canola or sunflowers or something like this. Then yes, that's really good. If you have that. So um, that's how I would say.
Hello, Sebastian.
Hello, James.
How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. We got a few. We got 12 people so far for now, so there's only a couple of minutes.
Excellent.
Yeah. How is it here? How is the weather?
It's getting colder, so it's supposed to go down to about minus 28 to minus 30 degrees Celsius here in the next week. So
Wow.
yeah, I made sure the propane was filled up for the wood shop and things like
Yeah.
that. So getting ready back into the deep freeze.
Yeah. Just 1 second. I'll have to let my cat inside because he's trying to get in the
No
door.
worries. It's funny how all of us beekeepers seem to have a cat.
Yes, I love them. So yeah, she's my housekeeper. We let her outside, and every time I come from work, she's waiting next to the door for me and get a breakfast.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
we got another two people coming in there. That's
Hey,
Bob.
hey,
Hey, Bob.
how you doing? Hey,
Not
and there's Lee.
How y'all doing?
So
Oh, Lee.
did you get all those bees out of that bucket, Bob?
Yeah, but I was a little disappointed when I went to the first part of the deep hive it was just a pile of dead bees in the bottom.
Of the
And
bucket.
No, not in the bucket. The ones that I brought home the other day from the wooden bee vac.
Oh, too
Yeah.
hot?
I don't know how it could be too hot, and I mean they were in a double deep.
Did you
Oh
pull
yeah,
them
you'd
out
be
of
surprised how
the,
much
And I put
airflow they
put a-
need.
put feed on the top of them, and the boxes were ventilated.
the wooden
Yeah.
beehive that you sucked them up in with a vacuum? Did you just dump the whole thing in there, or you
Yeah.
let them climb in?
No, I dumped them on top of it.
I didn't know if it was any of the ones that may have
Actually,
died during
the
vacuum
bottom
that
was an
you put in.
empty box, and the top had frames on it.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah. You'd be surprised. I learned very, very early on how much ventilation they need and how much heat they generate. And it is amazing, and unfortunately, it's one of those lessons that a beekeeper learns the hard way.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
if you think they have enough ventilation, they probably don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is amazing how much heat they generate,
yeah, I
especially when they're
put
stressed.
food on them.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Bob a while ago on the phone. That's what I like about the Everything BVAC, because it's battery operated. On the drive home, I can actually keep it on low and it's circulating air over them constantly. But if you put your hand over the top of it, you can feel the heat they generate coming out of the exhaust.
Yeah.
But those were the bees that I got in the wooden bee vac, right?
Yep.
The first time.
Yeah.
And when you take the head off, it's totally screened on top. So they should have had plenty of ventilation for the ride home. And I dumped them in a double deep with comb on the top and empty on the bottom, and a bucket of feed on the top.
How far did you have, Bob? How far is from you?
40 minutes, 45 minutes.
Oh, so it's not bad. It's not
No, it wasn't too bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yesterday I cracked it. There was bees walking around. Today it might have just got too cold for them last night. I don't know.
Oh, I don't think it would have been too cold. I mean, we have bees up here. I mean, minus 10, minus 15 degrees Celsius, and they'll cluster together and be just
Yeah, but
fine.
they didn't have any feed in the frames, right? They only had the bucket feeder on top. So I don't know. We'll see.
This Flower Street said Cuckoo swarm in a swarm box once. They got hot. That's what James mentioned. Yeah, that is what I done once. They were so many bees. I put them in nuke box. I was thinking they'd be okay, and we come back, and half of them there was actually cooked.
Yeah.
I had to do a cutout last year. I think Bob had seen it, the one that I got out of that bathroom, that fake bathroom window.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I cut them out, and as I was pulling up in the driveway, my sister had called. My mom had gotten a wreck in town. It wasn't nothing bad. Somebody, little fender bender. So I just opened the front door, set the whole everything BVAC on top of the AC vent, and left the little vent motor running, and went to town. I come back a couple hours later, and they were fine. They actually stayed in there all night long with that motor running, and then the next morning I took them out and put in a hive. And those happened to do good because they had plenty of circulation.
And you had mentioned, Bob, you have a whole pile of bees in that Pro Nuke. So yeah, you're going to want to make
But I
sure
moved them out of the Pro Nuke, though.
Okay.
I took them out of it, yeah.
Perfect. I was going to say.
Matter of fact, I took those out of that Pro Nuke and put them in the deep that the other ones died out of. But I took the frames that they already started clustering and started trying to draw comb from the foundationless. So I just moved all the frames. I took frames out and just moved them right in, and then put the feeder right back on top and a little piece of pollen patty.
There you go.
So
there you go.
But so any stings you have today?
Not till I got home and started opening that colony up to put them in that other box. Got one in the back.
That's
great.
That's the one wonderful news. You didn't have stings today, just in house. That's fine. That's you know.
So
now we're going to be looking for his how to clean a bee suit video.
Oh yeah,
I told you just need to call Saracell up and say, hey, this suit got honey all over it. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
So
it will be definitely flying bees around your house the next couple of days, because that is if you bring new bees, they will be upsetting down there. So
I kept those first ones closed in for 2 days. Today was the third day, and I came home. My goal was to take that bottom box that didn't have anything in it and put it down. But when I pulled it up and saw that there was this much bees in the bottom of the box, it was not. It looked like James's floor.
Wow.
So
the bees are flying a little bit here today, but they're going to do better tomorrow. It was a little cool and breezy today.
Yeah, we got funny weather as well here today. It was lovely in the morning. When I was outside take a bit rubbish out in the very early in the morning.
I got
lovely. I said, oh, it'd be nice. And then it's about 11 o'clock. It started rain. I was like, oh no, that's it.
I got to the farmer's market this morning. It was about 40 degrees and about a 20-mile-an-hour wind.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that's about 4 degrees C.
Well, like I said, I got up this morning, took a look at the weather, and I think it was minus 11. And that's pretty much the warmest it's going to be for the next, probably week. And decided I stoked up the fireplace and dug out the laptop and started working on, some more of the business paperwork and stuff like that. And then, I literally just came in. Alan was over here helping me there today. We took all of the plywood.
Where can I find one of them? I need an Alan. You
need an Alan? I'll tell you. He has definitely been an absolute lifesaver, because I think without that help, I would really be behind the eight ball here. But today what we did is my drill press isn't quite big enough to drill the feeder holes in the top of the lids. But we loaded all the plywood up in the back of his truck. We took it over to his father-in-law's, and his father-in-law had a 16.5-inch drill press. So that made really nice short work of putting the holes in the 50-10 frame lids and the 32 6-way pallet lids. So that made it very, very quick. And of course, now we've been ripping all day, and it's interesting because you're out there. It's like, well, how do I make a video on doing this? Because 90% of it is, cutting wood. Yeah. Exactly. It's the same thing over and over and over and over.
I like James. You walking like Ian to the shed.
You like that, but I'm so short to the shed. It's like, well, I just walk back and forth.
I'm sure.
James, I'll make you a little jealous. You talking about negative 11 there, so that's 12 Fahrenheit. Our weather this week. I'm going to see if I can get this to tilt right. Let me dim it down so it ain't so bright on the screen. It's anywhere between 82 and 89 Fahrenheit. So that's going to be 21
that
to
is coming
37.
hot.
That's 21 to
that-
37 C this week.
That's
Yeah.
that's just wrong. That's just
The,
wrong.
Rub it in. Huh?
I was sitting back up underneath that house, right? Doing that,
Yeah.
and I had honey just dripping down me and in my
Wow.
face and on the veil, right? I couldn't see. I had to go out and rinse the veil out so I could see again. And I was sitting in there. I started laughing so hard because I remembered like when my kids were little, and Winnie the Pooh sitting back there with his jar of honey, and he's just grabbing it. And it's like Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh. And
But you could have jar. You could have jar straight away, straight in the jar. Fresh one.
I'm just curious. Is your tongue long enough to lick all the honey off your beard?
Oh, it was just dripping, and it was dripping through. It was filtering itself through my veil, and I was just getting drips of honey. It was like, it was good. It was good honey, though.
That's calling for 80. Oh my goodness. So
that is a definite spring on the way. Definite. Yeah. Well, in my area we got another week quite warm, and then we get cold for 2 weeks. Looks like, and then I hoping to. Get in March with nice weather. So
yeah, well, I was talking to Brad, this morning while chatting back and forth, and I think we both have a bit of a love-hate relationship here right now with the weather we're getting. So I mean, we hate the fact that winter's still here, but we love the fact that winter's still here
because you got time to finish up what you got to do.
We both have so much work that we got to get done. So it's
I don't know how I'm gonna get. I won't know what I don't have until I need it. That's what's gonna end up happening.
Oh well, there you go.
I mean, I've got stuff, but I just don't know when I'm gonna run out of stuff. That's the
57. Oh, that's just wrong, Lisa.
It was kind of cool here today. When I woke up, it was 35, and it's only 55 right now.
I think we made it to only 56 today, but like I said, it's been about a 20, 25 mile an hour wind on the river right next to the farmer's market.
Yeah. Well, it's been snowing here all morning, and it's been blowing here all morning, and it's drifting. It's typical Alberta weather, above 0 one day and 40 below the next.
But we got the temperatures what we got now is quite cold, so that's why James, you can't compare with them down the south.
Hey, Grammy.
Hey, I haven't been on it a while. I thought I'd really make y'all jealous. I'm sitting outside on my patio. It's 57 and sunny.
Look at that, James.
Yeah, they're getting a sun.
Lisa, you make it jealous, James. Now.
Oh.
Yep.
I saw your video of opening the swarm lure.
Yeah, I got some put in. I'm gonna see. I've got to get a tie down strap. So I think I'm just gonna set it in my bee yard because I've got one that I think is gonna be swarming pretty soon. So I've got a nice little tree out there with a limb that's about 7 or 8 feet in the air, and I'm probably gonna go strap it down to the limb. It smells good though. I want to use it as a room air freshener.
I think it would, but I think what would help better, Dennis, is if I use the vacuum to suck through a brood box, like have a solid bottom board, so when they came in, they were just in their beehive, and then I could plug the vacuum off. But the situation I was in, it's more like a Colorado style bee vac where it's got a solid bottom, then a brood box, then a top with the head on it. It was too tall for underneath the house. And it was heavy, right? So you're trying to lug it over walls and around things.
No easy work down there.
No, and the thing is, it has like a piece of material in it that's from the bottom to the back. So when the bees come in, they're supposed to hit that and then, soften their blow. But I guess when you get this much bees in the bottom, it doesn't matter, right? There's too hot.
Right. Yeah, so. It's too hot. They heat up because they try and warm it up, especially when they know there's a queen in there. They will protect her as well. So they produce a lot of heat. So
Well, that's exactly how they protect themselves from a wasp or an intruder like that,
Yeah.
right? They'll ball it and then
Heat it
they'll
up.
actually cook it. Yep.
Or they'll do
Did you
like
find the
Bob and
queen?
steam him up.
I didn't see her. And the main reason is it was just so dark under there. I was using literally, those head lamps. I had two of them, one sitting down, shining up in there, and one around my hand. So when I was holding the vac, it was shining where I was vacuuming.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I got her in the last bit of bees because as I was getting their comb taken out, there was a ball of bees up in the corner, and I just vacuumed them in. So,
Now, when you were coming out, any extra bees that were flying around, were they going around the exhaust of the vacuum?
when I shut it off, there was some trying to get on the top, trying
I was
to
about
get
to say a lot of times if that queen's in there, her pheromone will be coming out that exhaust vent, and
Right.
you'll notice a bunch of bees gathering around that.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, that's right. They will go for
But that bucket vac, that's the. I mean, I understand Lee's got the everything BVAC $400 bucket vacuum cleaner that I just built for $50. I mean, I get it, but
Yeah.
Would you use a bucket head?
the bucket head and
Yeah, it works, man. That's what I did.
As long as it works, that's all you need.
That's all you need. Just 5-gallon bucket and bucket head.
and I drilled the 2-inch hole in the side and hot glued some screen on the inside.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
most people say to put tape over it till you get the suction you want. But I was kind of, since it was down there,
I just used my hand.
I was using my leg. and it
I've
was
seen some of them, they'll cut an extra bucket in the roundness of the bucket and they'll place over it and like glue a little track on it to where you could slide part of the bucket around to cover that hole up.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a neat idea.
I'll have to find that video and show it on live.
So how covered in honey were you?
Oh, head to toe. Matter of fact, I was laying down. I couldn't see through the veil anymore. And it was dripping through onto my glasses, and I couldn't see anything. I had to go out and spray it off.
Man, I had to come home that 2-day cutout I did. I had to come home and wash my bee suit the first night.
Oh, yeah.
I was covered.
Bob can use some tips on how to wash a bee suit now.
I just throw it in there and turn it on and pull it out.
Washing machine, man.
I don't put it in the dryer. I just pull it out and let it air dry. And
Yep.
The only thing I've done, I've actually put warm water in the bathtub and put OxyClean in it. Mix that OxyClean
seen
up
that
and lay
too.
my suit in it. When I'm
My
done,
house
just
doesn't
take it
even
out and
have
let it hang dry.
OxyClean is good for anything.
Actually, I find
you
borax
see?
works really well too.
Yeah,
To
borax
blow all that
is
out.
good.
well,
Yeah.
my shower didn't go well because I still have honey.
Yeah, DC, I think you broke it in pretty good. He christened it for sure.
Looks like you're sticky.
Yeah, I still got honey in my beard. I thought I got it all, but I didn't. It's right here.
Hey, I didn't think you could have a beard in your pest control business.
I couldn't at first, and then they relaxed the regulations, and that
Ah,
said that you could have a beard again. I started growing mine back out. And
gotcha.
then I'm gonna wait till they tell me I can't have it that long, and then I'll quit. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But,
I was just wondering how your respirator would fit with your beard. That's all.
That's what I was dreading. The plant they sending me back to, it was a clean shave plant, but they just changed it to where you don't have to shave anymore.
hey, I'm gonna tell you what.
Hey, most of the clean rooms I've ever seen, when people go in with beards, they just put a hairnet over their beard.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
But they look very calm, Bob. When you tip them to the boxes, they didn't fly like you would be expecting. They
well,
be
I don't know
upset.
how much honey I was sucking up with them, and I was
Yeah,
like they were walking and getting dripped on, and it was.
they've been very sticky.
Oh yeah.
That's why. Yeah.
So that is a bit of a trick. I mean, if you are ever trying to combine a bunch of bees like that, if you spray them down with a little bit of sugar water, it seems to take their mind off of what hive they came from, and they'll
Yes,
actually
that's right.
start to groom each other. So that is a little bit of a trick to keep in your back pocket if you are ever.
Well, you
trying
should have
to
told me that
pick
on the
up like
live.
that.
I would have went out to one of my wheat colonies and dumped in about 50,000 bees on top of them.
I
That's not very
was
good.
too busy. I was too busy
That's not
laughing that your
Yeah.
beard was all stuck with honey and.
Oh yeah, my face.
Don't give me a spoiler. I hadn't seen the whole video yet.
Oh, Hey, I want to, Sarah sent me that whole suit, but I'm most excited about what was in there that I didn't show yesterday. So
What's
this
that?
is one of those pullovers that has a veil
The
on it.
vest.
It's
Yes.
the vest one. So
Very nice.
yep, I'll enjoy getting stung in that one. Yes. So
Quick. So I got email from Nathan. Nathan have a problem with the internet, so he will not. Well, he said he will try, but the internet what he's got in there is not enough power to be coming on there.
That's
So
unfortunate.
yeah, it's but
Oh.
he's
we don't want to hear that. You know where James lives.
he did mention that, James. He did mention on his video as well. Actually, today it was mentioned. If you did watch him, I'm sure you watched it this morning. He posted on or not?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's but I will get him later. Don't worry, he'll be coming in there. We can have a chat with him. I got a few questions right on there for him. So yeah, I was talking earlier. Lisa was popping up actually on my face on my YouTube one of my sunflowers. So when I see them sunflowers,
Yes. I
so
just I tore a house down on my property that was my grandparents' house. And so I have this plot of soil and it's got rocks and I know I'm going to have to amend the soil before I do any planting. So, but I
yeah,
went and bought like a pound of black oil sunflowers.
yeah,
So I think I'm going to put those out there. And I've got
yeah.
a lot of different herbal type flowers to put out. I've got some valerian and different herbs. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope it turns out.
Just
Well,
make
they
your
will.
chicken run right there.
Do
They'll
what?
just put you a chicken run right there. They'll dig that thing up and fertilize.
That's the one.
It.
That's
Perfect.
the
I
one.
got it, Lee. I got it. I got
But
that book,
I
honey.
got 3 or 4 of them, but that one's my favorite.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. I'm hoping to start doing a lot of tinctures. Um, I want to do some propolis tincture too. I'm sold on that
yeah,
stuff, man. I tell you what, propolis. Um, Bob, you remember in Lee when we were at Hive Life, everybody was getting sore throats. And I
Mhm.
did find a vendor there that had some propolis drops and also some
yeah,
propolis throat spray.
yeah,
And I used it and it was gone.
I,
yeah.
to me, it was just like really dry in that place. It had no humidity at all.
See,
It was like they had dust that needed.
I was kind of enjoying the humid, warm air personally.
Yeah.
So
You
so
would love it down here, James. Oh my God. Come visit us in July and then tell us how you feel.
Yeah, July and August down here is bad.
Oh, come to Alabama or Louisiana or South Carolina in July and August. You'll love the humidity.
It's
Like
only about 100.
95.
I was about to say about 110 degrees and 100% humidity.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
My
You
my
see
I
bee
me getting a heat stroke.
my bee suit
uh,
can't get enough ventilation.
I know, right? They don't make them with enough ventilation.
Oh, they
Not
Lisa,
they
for
what
do.
you.
That's where I
what
was. That suit that I ordered last night.
No,
yeah.
So
that might ventilate where you're at. It don't ventilate where I'm at.
Not here. I even
no,
bought a lightweight and I got stung through it at Bruce's house or at Bruce's Ozark yard.
In your glasses, forget about it because you're looking down at a frame.
Good, Dennis.
You need windshield wipers on the inside from the sweat dripping in.
yeah,
I'm from
I
Right.
the
very.
I'm from the honey,
Yeah,
honey.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say I very seldom
Mm-hmm.
wear my glasses. I've just
Get
started
some
wearing
Elton
glasses.
John glasses.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just started wearing glasses this year, but I can't keep my fingers off of them, and they never stay clean. Uh,
So
I've kind of moved straight to contacts because
he-
it's just so much easier.
so I just want something mentioned, guys. So yeah, DC mentioned about chewing propolis when he opened the hives. So I'll give you a tip what I know from a very young age, and very old beekeeper told me propolis. You could that's what you just do. You could actually chew up like gum in the
Mm-hmm.
mouth when you. It's so good for you. This is not one of the most important antibiotics from the bees where
Mhm.
human need it. We all need it.
Oh yeah.
My father-in-law, he's keeping bees probably around about 30 years now, and he does propolis drops himself, and they're using all the time. And they know you don't need to go doctor. They're the best ones,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that's the most important is in you using consistence basically once in a week. Get them one drop or two drops, and just keep consistent, especially in the winter time.
Yep.
It's very good for us, for the people. But
Well,
I'm
I
I'm
took
wanting to
enough
get a
things the other
couple
day.
of.
I should never get arthritis.
You won't. Not after 200 stings the other day.
oh,
I want to buy a couple of propolis traps this year and put on the hives to collect.
yeah, I collected last year. I have about 400 grams. I have about around about 400. I was planning doing it over winter. Planning doing the drops. I have the recipe, and then I just been too busy sleeping, not working nights and sleeping and all that stuff, doing that stuff for the bees. And then I was like, oh, but I will do it because I know that's very important to get this done. The drops is so popular.
Mhm.
Um,
They
yeah,
work.
so yeah, it works. Yeah, it works, and a lot of people looking for them as well. You couldn't believe how
Mhm.
people.
Well,
You
I've
just
had
say,
people ask me if I have pollen or propolis for sale, and I'm
yeah,
like, no.
yeah. Pollen, pollen is actually you believe in that pollen is very expensive.
Yes, it
Here,
is.
pollen in Europe, 40 euro per kilo.
Mhm. Mhm. That's about what
So
it's selling here. I think it's about $20 a pound, which is 2.2
half half
pounds
a
is a
half a
kilo.
kilo. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to ask
So
you how you're so good with your kilos and stuff like that. Was you a 60s child?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I was born in the 60s.
Okay.
Look out.
I
I
thought
about
you
to Bob.
I'm good at the metric system because I work in nursing.
Bob, next
I'm a
year,
you have
nurse
to know that.
midwife for crying out loud.
the only
Bob,
thing they
I
weigh in
see
kilograms in the States is not medicinal.
Bob.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I've got a
But you
scale
have
in my kitchen.
I see you
one.
in your life. You getting hit in the back of the head, Bob.
Wouldn't be the first time or the last
But look
time.
at my head. Look at my head. Look what I can say. Huh? Jeez. But
So
I tell you
I've
DC,
got
something.
hair, it's just all gray.
well,
Back.
what little I have left is gray.
Well, I don't have as much as I used to.
But
I still have mine. It just fell down my back.
just
Uh-huh.
just because
It
people listen.
grows
So,
in after you get older.
Yeah.
yeah,
So DCBs, I see you're putting in the comments down there. You're going to
yeah.
make pollen be one of your main crops. So just be a little cautious with that. Your bees still need some of that pollen. So make sure if
Oh
you're going to
yes.
put the pollen trap on, put it on
Yeah,
for a day and then take it off for a day or two, put it back on. Otherwise,
yeah.
you'll find you won't have a very healthy hive if you take all the pollen
Right.
No,
off.
that's right.
Alternate your days.
Yeah.
Well, they
So
say not to leave it on for more than a couple of days at a time.
no,
But how often?
I did collect last year,
Hmm.
and in the maximum you could put. So I normally put first thing in the morning, very early in the morning, very early in the
Hmm.
morning. Put the trap in, or late evening, put the trap in, and then follow day after lunch. After lunch for follow day, you could take them off, or you could keep for 48 hours, but remove that before lunch. So they after lunch, whatever they come in and flying in, they're still bringing in some of the pollen. But like James mentioned, they need the pollen. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I will
How
not keep it
often?
more up
I'm
to two
sorry, go
days. I
ahead.
will not keep it. No, that's fine, Lisa. Up to 2 days, I will not keep them longer than that.
Hmm.
And they will fill up this very quickly, especially if it's in the spring. There's a neck pollen coming, they will just fill that up.
How
So
often do you do it? I mean, is it safe to do it, say, once a week, or with you putting them on a half a day, do you do it several times a
you
week?
if you're running 30 colonies, you could do on each hive, you could do
Okay.
all week, all month, but you change it on the colonies, on different colonies for 2 days. You're not doing
Hmm.
the same colonies all the time. You got to do different
Right.
colonies because if you
Alternate.
start
Hmm.
if that you basically weaker out that colony, and that will cause
Mhm.
issues with the bees,
Yeah,
especially if
Okay.
it's
Makes
I've got
sense.
3 pollen traps, and that's what I was going to do. Put it on 3 hives for a day,
Mhm.
take it off, and put it on 3 different hives,
that's good.
and
Yeah,
just keep
that's right.
rotating
Okay.
the line.
Well, right now I only have 5 hives, so I wouldn't want to do a whole lot. And I've got 4.5. I've got one that
Yeah.
I don't know what she's gonna do. I may wind up just making a
With
queen.
with with the propolis, people say, listen here, just they will chew up. Be careful in early spring. Do not
Mhm.
do the chew up in spring, because you know why? You people to put oxalic acid in there. You've been
Mhm.
vaporized bees in the spring, so do not, or winter time. Do not do collect the propolis in the early spring or winter
Well,
time.
you're guaranteed to
Only in the
not
summer.
have varroa mites.
Sorry, you could get varroa in that in
You'll
the
be
keys
mite
and
free.
See, that's
yeah,
Get
why
a
I
little
want to get
protein.
Yeah.
that's why I want to get the traps. That way, I put them on. Once they fill them up, and I take it off the hive, put it in the freezer. I can
yeah,
crack it and then fill up whatever container I want. And then if I need to do treatments after or whatever, I can do that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But some people doesn't understand. They will say, "Oh, we collect a lot of propolis in the spring." Because
Mhm.
they in the winter the bees fill up the hives like rockets, but we give them oxalic acid in there, and that's not good to be collecting that propolis. That propolis is not good to collect
Mhm.
for us. In the summer, yes, that's absolutely fine in the summer, because what, it's no, you don't use it, it's no risk anymore. There's no much risk in there to be doing this. But if you collect that in the spring or winter time, that of course can cause problems. So just be
Mhm.
careful. Um, what I would say is another thing as well. How many people are actually growing something for the bees?
I'm
You
not
see my
this year.
backyard? There,
Yeah,
My backyard.
I'm
I'm
growing
not.
I grow a
I'm not.
lot of
snowballs right
weeds.
now. Yeah, I'm growing snowballs.
Snowball. I like that. Snowball. That's the new. That's
Jeez.
that's a new Canadian sunflower.
Hey,
Snowflower.
The only thing I plan
Snowflower.
on doing this year, I, I took a bunch of seeds off of the privet bushes last year, and then
Yeah,
this spring, as they're starting to get leaves on it, some of the other seeds are falling off.
yeah,
I'm killing all the grass along my fence lines, and I'm going
yeah.
to place a seed about every 4 foot and see if I can get some more privet bushes growing all the way around the property.
So I don't know.
That's-
How is it called? Borage. Borage. You know borage?
Yes.
Ah, it's
I'm
very
going to
good. If
plant
you,
some of those. It said
yeah,
here that borage is good to grow with your tomatoes.
yeah. And
So
bees,
I'm
bees
going to
love
try
this.
that.
Oh
My
wow.
seed station is kind of full right now, so I have to rearrange it.
Yeah.
This is the time when we are really big on seed starting. So I have a grow station in my living room.
Oh wow.
See, kilos, grow station. Things
I'm
aren't
joking.
adding up, Lisa. They're just
I
not.
joke around saying that the county sheriff's helicopter flies over my house because he sees my pink grow
And
lights.
Brian Coper's got a grow tent behind him.
I don't have a grow tent.
Yeah,
I
Policemen
just
will
have grow
turn up and
lights.
say, "What you growing in there?"
I know, right? I could probably get away with it. It's still not legal here, but I could probably get away with it. Who would suspect a 58-year-old woman of growing pot, right?
Right.
But it's so we grew every year. I mentioned I we soon as we pull the vegetables out, we put a
Hmm.
lot of stuff for the bees, a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
So down in my back in my April, I got the vegetables in there, and I got some bees over there, and we put a lot like borage. We got Facilia growing there, field bean growing in there. So all that nectar and pollen late in the season, the bees just got it straight away.
See,
And
where I live, we have a very long growing season. So our growing season is about 10 months of the
mm,
year. So we
oh,
can have something growing almost all year. And even in the wintertime, we have camellias blooming and they bring pollen in from the camellias. Breaking Bad, Lisa. You're so fun, Ed. I need one of Bob's shirts. Another one. Beaking Bad.
Speaking bad shirt.
Beaking Bad. Yep. But no, we have a pretty long growing season, and I've,
10 months, very
my
long.
bees love it when I grow squash and melons. So do the squash bugs. Um, but yeah, there's usually something blooming. In the fall, we have a lot of goldenrod.
That's good. Do you have, James?
Hmm.
Do you have a lot of farmers around there, James?
Oh
Where
yes,
you?
absolutely. So Alberta Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, I'm
Yeah.
going to say are some of the big grain farmer provinces up here in Canada. So I mean, I don't really have to worry about planting too much. One of the things I'm going to do this year is I am going to
You
split
got
some of
a
my
honey
hives up.
again.
Hmm.
Bob and Lee will get a kick out of this, but I have committed to putting some of my hives over in right beside a canola field. I'm going to see what they can pull in for a honey crop. So I'm going to keep them to,
I
well,
think you need to give up. I mean, you only 3,800 pounds last year. You're not doing it right. You just need to go ahead and throw
But
the towel.
Lou's slacking.
so
but I mean that really is a crop
Come here.
failure. Like in
so
all
I just
honesty, I think
Mm. So I'll give you a little bit idea. I come from background farm, and my sister, she's farming, and she's a farmer. She's big. She's probably size of Ian. So you have to remember, ask the farmer what is actually canola. What canola is that seeds? Because some of the canola will be lovely yellow, beautiful yellow, but will not produce a nectar, and the bees will not collect anything from that.
oh yeah,
The,
no.
it,
So we've
yeah, the
worked that one
all
out. Actually, there's canola on one side, and I do believe it's going to be sunflowers on the other. So this
wow.
should work out quite well for me, I think.
The
Sunflower will be
canola makes pretty good honey, doesn't it?
yes,
Um,
yes. Very
it,
quickly set. Very
Yeah, I
quickly
yeah, I
was
was
about
set.
to
going to
say, yep.
say
You got to
I'm gonna
extract
have
it
to
pretty quick.
be
Yes,
on
yes,
top
yes.
of it. It'll
Yeah,
crystallize in the comb very quickly. Yes,
yes.
Oh, it does.
yeah,
So
it is.
it's good.
It's actually
It's
one of
good.
the quickest ones.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but also it's what you can do with canola if you got in the barrels, and that's very good. Something new in the market in United States and Canada. Get creaming.
Hmm.
Canola is really good, very good for creaming honey.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
I've been creaming. Yeah, the last 2 years I've been creaming honey, and in fact, I just went
Like,
down today and I filled up the stores where my honey and stuff like that is, and the creamed honey actually outsells the liquid honey.
Hmm.
mm,
I just started last season. I tried
yeah, that's
some,
the one.
and it really turned out
Really.
good. I did the Dias method, so I'm there with
Yeah.
my mortar and pestle just grinding away, do it the hard way. I only made enough for me.
I put this in the closet on the corner of the house where the wind whips around, and I kept
Yeah.
that
Uh-huh.
door closed all winter. And just a
Yeah.
hot and cold, it naturally crystallized, but it is smooth.
Oh,
It
wow.
is not grainy
What
at all, so I'm going to use that as my starter. I
what is
see it's
it?
perfect.
What honey is it?
It's got a lot of privet in it.
Yeah.
It's probably got a little bit of tallow, but
Yep,
it's more
that's
privet.
what. That's it, James.
Yeah.
I'm
Canola.
sorry, my dog is wanting attention. He got
That's
in the honey.
that's a lot of work, James.
So
My
Canola.
dog likes honey.
it is a lot of work, but here's what I found. So um, most people will use the mortar and pestle there for I don't know, an hour maybe two when
Hmm.
they're blending their honey. This, if you take a look at how smooth this is, I don't know if I can show you in the camera,
Mm.
Hmm.
but this has been blended probably, I'm going to say 2 hours a night for probably 12, 14 nights. And that's what I use for my seed. And it really makes a superior product.
Yeah.
So you get out of this stuff what you put in. So yeah, it's
So
a lot of work,
What is
but
the seed to honey ratio, James?
a
One.
9 to 1 or a part, yeah, 9 parts liquid honey to 1 part seed.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Most people go 10 to 1.
Hmm.
10 to 1 works. It takes a little bit longer. I find 9 to 1 works really, really well.
Okay.
So
Do you
the
drop
light,
yours to 53 degrees after you blend?
Well, 53, what does that work out to? About 15 degrees Celsius,
Let's
14,
see.
15 degrees C.
Close.
That's 11.
So
About 11 and
yeah,
a half.
I store mine right around 13 to 15 degrees.
Okay.
And it takes about 9 to 12 days to completely set up.
See, I think that's where I went wrong. I didn't store mine cool enough.
so
I have a pantry that I use that I keep air conditioned and dehumidified because I put my canned goods in there. And I just put it down there, and I don't think it was cold enough because I keep it at 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So I don't think it was cold enough.
Right.
I was about to say,
but
if you mix your seed honey with your liquid honey and just leave it room temperature, it will crystallize, but
It
it's going to
takes
take
a while.
Long
Yeah,
time.
it took quite a while for this, and it still didn't get really nice and creamy, but it was good. I mean, it has a good smooth texture.
Yeah.
so because we're talking about creaming, so James, I know, is looking to get equipment, nice equipment for his new shed, new house, honey house. So
Secrets.
I'll give you guys big secret. Like if you're looking on license have a creaming machine. Um, I think will be costing about 2.5 to 3,000 euro that machine, but that take up to 3 days, and basically the heating and temperature and a slow movement, spinning slowly. That cream you will not have to adding actually to canola anything. Pure canola, you will make a creaming honey. You couldn't believe it. I did have last year my one, and it was wow. It was
It
crazy.
seeds itself because it crystallizes so fast, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but if it's in small speed mixing, there's
yeah.
a
You don't want to whip it up.
yes,
Right.
small, very small, slow, basically. Slow mix is no fast, it's slow. But effect in the end, the product is amazing.
Hmm.
What
And
was the one?
the
What
guys
was
they're adding to that to the honey, adding strawberry, blueberry, cranberry, and they make a lot of different basically cream honey
There's a
from
lady in
canola.
North Alabama that she did. I saw her at the Alabama conference last September, and she makes the best flavored creamed honey.
Yes.
And she adds all the different. She had key lime, she had lemon, raspberry, strawberry. I mean, it was really good. Orange, and the orange tastes like orange sickle.
Now, I think Brian in the comments with Flower Street Farm, I believe he was also getting that licensed creamer. He's already got the licensed bottling tank. He was just going to get the creamer attachment to go
Isn't that
with
what Ricky and Ruth used to make theirs? I
that.
think
I'm not,
Ruth was saying they used a creaming. I don't know if it was a license or not, but I think they were using a creaming
I'm not sure about
machine.
that one. I know it come out good
what
though.
was the one that was at Hive Life?
Well, now Ricky and Ruth had some at their booth at the
Yeah, that
horizontal
was
hives.
that
That was
was that
no.
was
I did.
butter
That was no
or honey
license.
butter.
Yeah, that was no license. I didn't see that was
I've got it
license
somewhere.
because yeah.
Hmm.
I'm sure. I'm
I think
sure
it's
you could.
All my stuff's licensed.
Hey, the machine's quite big, and they got
Well, they got
the
the creamer attachment that goes onto the bottling tank too.
yes, that's right. Yeah,
That's the one
they got
that Brian's trying to get.
the cream machine. That's definitely worth an investor if you look in in the bigger picture in creaming, because I see the creaming honey here in UK. I could see it start be very popular here.
Yes.
So that's something where I look into get more this year, a little bit get on this. But if you whipping in too fast, like mentioned Lee, the honey will you will actually the honey will end up in a heart anyway.
Yeah.
But
You
if
whip
you
air into it.
You get air in
yes,
it.
but if
Right.
you get that's why it's just in slow speed mode. So is a flower street farm bees.
Yeah,
Did you order?
he just ordered the license creamer
Yeah.
attachment.
Yeah,
Oh,
make
cool.
sure that's well done, man. Make sure you get a video after when you get it, when you mix
And
it. You'll see.
that's the one that goes on the bottling tank.
Yeah, there's two different bottling tanks. He got the water jacketed one, and I didn't
Hmm.
get the water jacketed one. So his will actually.
Well
Bob,
done, man.
you got a widget that you haven't got?
Well,
Uh-oh.
the thing is that I didn't want to have to run a new 230 line to run a bottling tank, and his was 230, and mine was only 110.
And you order 30 frames license as well.
Yeah, I got the
extractor.
30 frame extractor.
So this is still my honey. It still hasn't been heated from the from last year.
Yeah. I
Is
have
that
some as
canola?
well.
Nope, that's not.
No. Oh, okay.
That's
I was gonna
probably
say.
clover. And,
Clover?
yeah,
Oh,
clover and
gotcha.
alfalfa. Yeah.
This is my
So
privet from last year. It's solid,
It's my fall honey.
Yeah, privet does. It crystallizes really fast.
but the goldenrod still liquid.
yeah. So
Now this is the honey I got from you at Hive Life. It's starting to crystallize here.
There you go.
this is my honey.
Solid.
And it-
Solid.
Solid.
it's creamy, but it's you know what honey is? It's linden.
Linden?
It's
Linden?
linden. Yes.
Linden
Yes.
tree. Uh-huh.
Yes, that's
Oh,
where the
wow.
honey comes from. This honey is very popular in where my bees are. I have bees about 20 meters, say 50, 60 foot away from these trees. And there's about 500 trees around there. When they flowering, it's like buzzing. The trees actually speaking. That's how many bees there in
Oh,
around there
wow.
down there. Yeah.
You see what
So we got-
LaGrange said? The 30 frame license is an amazing machine. Best investment I made.
That's definitely. I did saw the machine. That's definitely one of the great machine. But Flowers Street Farm Bees is very good. You bought some this creaming machine. That creaming machine, you will see how when you put a video about how the machine do work, you will see a lot of people will be really surprised because that this speed, slow speed, then in the machine switch it off himself, then he start again, then he switch it off him. He's doing for like 2 hours and switch off again, and he's going to do that way. So he's small, very slow. He's mixing, and they basically they affect the product in the end is amazing.
Yeah.
So
Now, I've seen some of them just a small scale in their house or whatever. They'll take like the KitchenAid countertop mixers.
yeah,
But where some of them mess
I
up, like
have
you were
one of
saying,
those.
they'll put it on high and whip it, and it comes out nice and white and creamy at first, but within 2 days, it's hard as a brick.
Yeah.
And
You got to
and
put
then
it
it'll
on
start
real
to,
slow.
and then it'll start to settle out. Yeah. So what I
Yeah,
do is
I wonder how long, because I have one of the KitchenAids, but I have the one that has the really low speed on it. I've
Mhm.
had two
Yeah.
different ones, and I didn't like the other one. I wonder if I put that on slow, if I
so
would get
Lisa.
the same effect.
So Lisa, have you ever made creamed honey, Lisa?
Only with that one jar, well, 2 jars with the Dias method.
Okay, so you can do the same thing. So you can use the same method, and you can use your KitchenAid, use the dough hook,
Mm-hmm.
and mix it, 9 parts liquid honey to your 1 part seed, and just nice and slow, and mix it all up, and then put it into your jars, and then of course seal it up, and then put it to about 15 degrees C, 13 degrees C. Come back 10, 12 days later. You'll find it'll work quite well.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I kind
What
of
was
do the
that
same
about
thing.
elderberry up there? Because I have
Uh,
elderberry. I just put out
yeah,
last year.
DC
Linden
was
one of the ones I saw. Oh,
put this,
okay.
yeah. But the Flowers is Brian, all right? Flowers Street Farm is that Brian, all
Yeah,
right?
that's Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So he said about the linden trees. He's got a lot around there, and it's very crystallized. They do
Linden
crystallize.
basswood
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
what they're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
LaGrange answered my question I was thinking about up there. I knew they had another tree or name for the linden tree. It's the basswood.
Oh, okay. Basswood is the same. Okay, got
I
you.
just
I didn't know. So you see.
I just got the dirtiest look from my wife ever. So I had her honey jar in here, and she's making a cup of tea.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
you had to come steal it back.
Yeah.
I know my husband set aside 32 pounds for his annual consumption when I first harvested. He said, "You cannot touch this." I'm like,
That's
God.
Dan said he's never been overseas, so Dan, it's a good time to go overseas.
I've never been overseas.
Yeah,
I've only
but
been to Mexico. That's Mexico and in the Caribbean, but I've never been. My nephew's been to the UK. He's been to quite a few countries.
I'll have to check. It's either October or November. We're going to the Bahamas.
Ooh,
how are you?
I enjoy
No.
staying home, as most of you probably know, as a commercial pilot for years
Oh,
and
gosh.
years and years and years. So
I bet you do want to stay.
I quite enjoy staying home.
I bet you do. Oh.
Well,
I have a cousin though. He gets to fly really cheap though. He worked with Delta for years. He retired from there, so he gets to fly anywhere he wants cheap.
Yeah.
my mom flew. My wife flew to her mom, and she lost her voice on the plane.
Mm.
She was when I took her to the plane. She was speaking lovely, no problem. So have a nice one. Go on. She's gone, right? And 2.5 hours later, she called me. She could not speak. She lost her voice in the plane, and I said to her, "Well, as soon as you get the dot, get it properly, son."
Well, that's because the whole flight she was going.
No, the air condition is very bad.
Mhm.
Very bad, the air condition inside in the plane. So, Kyle coming in.
Passport's easy. If you got all the birth certificate and
I have a passport. I just need to use it.
here in the
Hi, Kyle. Yeah, we're hearing you. Good.
We're getting an echo, Carl.
I think it got YouTube open.
No, I've closed it down. Maybe, oh god, technical issues again.
we can hear you. We can't see you now.
Oh, we see you now.
Must be my internet.
Hi, Carl.
Hey, how are you?
YouTube open.
Meet you. So, is it working okay?
You gotta
Yeah,
close
no,
your
no,
YouTube window down.
Yeah, it is closed, so it must be something else.
It's funny, I don't hear him coming back, just us.
And I hate hearing my own voice.
No? Technical woman coming.
The technical woman's coming again.
Hello.
IT special.
So there's an echo.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's an echo. I'll shut my mic off.
You should just be able to close your YouTube window.
Yeah, that's probably why they that gets you the voice. You got double voice because you got YouTube on. So
Or just mute the tab like I do.
yeah.
But the
I don't know. Everybody's sitting here in like nice, well ventilated shirts, and you're sitting outside, and
No,
Yeah.
I'm in a
Okay.
sweater now. See my
Oh.
sweater?
Is
Bob,
that
look.
working?
you're still
Oh,
sitting
wow.
outside.
It's Tigger.
I know all the.
I got all my poo fleeces.
I felt like poo. I wish I would have had my GoPro. I would have clipped that in of me dipping honey and singing the Winnie the Pooh song underneath.
How many windows do you have open?
Well, I'm about to have to get off of here because I need to go start dinner.
Oh,
Alrighty, it's good you got to see us
So-
again.
I know I haven't been on a live in a while, so I figured I'd
Take
show
the-
you all my
take-
hands where I really did paint. See?
Lisa,
I really
take
did
away today. Take away today. weekend.
Take a day off.
Take
Yeah.
my
Take-
I'm off for
Looking
4
good.
days every weekend.
It must be
Bye,
nice.
guys.
Have
See
a
you
Bye
good
later.
one.
bye.
See you,
Thanks,
Lisa.
Lisa. You all right now, Kyle?
Is it working better now?
Yep. Don't hear the loop anymore.
Don't hear the loop,
Yeah,
but the video froze.
he froze you. Yeah, he froze you now.
So Bob, I got some information you didn't ask for.
Okay.
Or some advice you probably already know. So I've been watching your cutout thing and your bees coming home. So if you're asking me, which you didn't, but anyway, I'm going to say it anyway. Um, you're plenty far enough away from the original hive site, so there's no relocation issues there. And if how many boxes are you trying to split in, or how many have you made up out of that amount
Well,
of bees?
okay. So the first day I was there, I took 200 stings, so I had to leave. Right. So I put
Yeah,
those
I saw
in a
that.
box, a double. Well, I had an empty box that I poured them in on the bottom, and then put a box with frames so they could come up into the frames. And and then I went and vacuumed today, and got my vacuum full, and I put them in a nuke. And I still had bees to get, so I went back and vacuumed some more. And
Okay, we're all sitting outside. So okay, I'm gonna sit outside for this.
I like that.
and so I vacuumed the rest in the bucket, and so now I've got well, the first ones that I put in there, they didn't make it. Very few of them were even stirring around, and so I took the ones I had in the Pro Nuke, put them in the colony, like remove frames, and just dropped the frames they were on in the nuke box in there, and the other ones I dumped into another 5-frame nuke. So now I got them in 2 5-frame nukes. And
Okay, so how far away are they from each other? Those two frame those nukes.
Probably not far, 20, 25 yards maybe.
Oh, that's
Meters,
plenty away.
25 meters.
It's plenty far away from each other. So and have you dumped any
There's a
frame
big-
of brood, open brood, or something in there?
I haven't put any brood in them yet.
Okay, because if you can spare that, like I wouldn't see an issue if you're able to stick some open brood in there. For starters, they're going to start a new queen, whether you've got the queen or not, right?
Right.
And second, it gives them a purpose to be in that box. And then you shouldn't, and you've got them far enough away from each other, so they shouldn't join up, if you know what I mean. Go out of one box and into another. And I just leave them open. It's not like they're going to fly home. They're at a new place, so they're going to orientate to that brood in that box.
Right.
So I would have just dumped them in for away, and then give them a frame of brood, and then they should be absolutely sweet. They'll be just getting down to business, you know.
I still got daylight. I should run out and do it right now. Take a couple. And James,
I might have to go back inside. It's starting to snow again.
If you can spare it, yeah.
yep. You know what? I'll do that right now before it gets dark. That way, when it warms up in the morning, they don't RUNNOFD on me. All right, I'll be back in a minute, guys. I'm just.
And then you won't have any overheating problems.
Yeah, that's all right, Bob.
Yeah, I'm about.
Yeah.
You kind of miss the winters up in Anchorage. Oh, trust me, there's nothing here to miss. You know, if the winters disappeared, I'd be quite okay with that.
Yeah. Well, no surprise. The cold temperatures is terrible, especially the bees. Did you, Bob, James? Do you keep them bees in the shed? Do you?
Correct. Yep. Yeah, they're inside, all thermostatically controlled at about 4 degrees Celsius.
Oh, so you have the same thing as Ian have.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So most the bee farmers have in Canada they have in the sheds the bees. So they some of them they keep them outside.
No, I wouldn't say most of us. I would say actually there's probably still less than 50% of us that keep them inside. Everybody else still keeps them outside.
Hmm.
The problem with that is
Yeah.
like temperatures like we've had up here, where like I said last week the snow was melting. It was like plus 6, plus 8, plus 9 degrees Celsius,
Yeah.
and then going right back down to minus 30 degrees Celsius. That is
Oh.
really hard on the bees. I mean,
Oh yeah.
they
That's right.
literally don't know if they're coming or going. And
Hmm.
I kept my bees outdoors for the first well, I guess what, 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
and it was brutal. I mean, I lost quite a few hives just simply because they would break cluster when it would start to get a little bit warm, and then cluster right back up, and um, they would warm up and then right back down in the deep freeze. So you end up with hoar frost and stuff like this inside your hive if it's not ventilated properly.
Hmm.
So it's really an art to keep your bees outdoors. We were discussing some of this just the other night with a few of us. And one of the really good things about keeping them indoors is those bees they'll walk through the whole hive. Where if you keep them outdoors, and if you keep them in, let's say, two double deeps, when the bees move up, they won't move back down. They'll actually starve to death because they
Yeah.
over top
That's
of a
right.
full box of feed, because
Yeah.
they will not go back down. So inside the building, they'll up at the top one day, they're down at the bottom the next. You'll see them hanging on the outside. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of benefits to keep them inside.
Yeah. Well, we got in UK. It's another thing in UK. We got a lot of rain. So the rain temperature, damp moisture, damp, and also the temperatures of minus when it hitting and -10. That's just the killer the bees.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's definitely the benefit of keep the bees in the shed for the winter because you actually it's 4 degrees. What you just say they don't eat so much food as well. They not
That's that's really the
they
key. The
yeah.
the big key is exactly that. Is 4 degrees. There's been lots of studies and stuff like that done on it, but 4 degrees is where they use the least amount of food resources. Any more, they get too active and they'll consume more
Yeah.
food. Any colder, they're going to need to consume more food in order to keep warm. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
four
yeah.
4 degrees Celsius is really that sweet spot.
That's the most important thing because you yeah they're stable. They're not they only can knock them off as a varroa. That's what
Well, and
in
and
this.
and good mite treatments take care of that. And I'm really
Yeah.
interested to see what my mite count is coming out of the shed this year. So
Are, are you do on the first year this year in the shed? You have the bees in the shed for the
this
first
is
year
this
or
is this is my first year in the shed. Yep.
okay? So fingers crossed they will be good. So 'cause that's the main thing now.
So far, so good. I know I lost two little newts. I know I lost some two 6 frame newts, but I also know they went into the shed extremely light.
Hmm.
So I'm not surprised that those two nukes didn't make it. You know, uh, that's one of these things when you're putting them in the shed, you're like, yeah, these guys probably aren't going to make it, but there's really nothing else you can do with them, right?
Hey, James.
Hmm.
James.
Yep.
Yeah, we should hook up, and I'll show you some. I'll show you some stuff that might change your mind on all that.
Well, I'd be interested to take a look at everything. I really kind of stick to the science and stuff, but you know, always open for new ideas.
Oh yes, new idea is really good. So science is quite important in the bees, beekeeping. And a lot of people, some of the beekeepers, Kyle, they don't even know, honestly. When I was talking to once in the club, some of the guys who just looked at me and he said, no, 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 no. Can't
Yeah.
do it that way.
Well, a lot of the
I said, you
traditional ways
can.
were, yeah, the traditional ways were, ways that they had figured out just to kind of keep them. They don't
Hmm.
really, the science behind it wasn't there in some of the traditional ways. Where nowadays we look at things a little bit differently, and um, we try to understand why we have the outcome we do, which really really kind of, it helps the beekeeper, it helps the bees, it helps everybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'll show you something you haven't seen before.
So
We can always learn new stuff.
Oh yes, that's right.
Whether
All
well,
it
that
works,
you know what I'm going to learn? I'm going to learn how to turn my thermostat up. I'm trying to be a Canadian and a true heart, but I don't know if you guys can see my face, but it's
It's get red. It
it
start
it
get
it,
red.
it, it it's cold. There's no see my fingerprints. I'm going to go back inside.
Yeah, it get in the warm. Yeah,
yeah, I'm about
that
to
was
have
nice.
run. I got to go bottle some more honey and
That's
get
all, Ali.
in the warm.
Have a great rest of the weekend. Have a
Oh,
great
y'all
one.
too, and thank you for having me again.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah. When you do on a weekend or something, I will popping up Friday or Saturday or I will popping up during the week. I just can't listen to you because I'm work. So
All right,
when you do live chat, I'm normally work. I watch you when I can.
I
Uh,
appreciate it.
yeah, or there's no place I could popped up in the chat. There's so many people on lunch, so
Yeah.
so noisy. So
All right. Well,
anyway,
y'all
thanks.
have a good weekend.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Yeah, yeah. So Kyle,
So have you got
what's
your
going
gates
on?
yet,
You got nice weather down there now. It's hot,
Seb?
is it?
Sebastian?
Sorry.
Oh, you're frozen on me.
No, I hearing you okay. Yeah, so I know.
Yeah, you're back again.
Yeah, yeah. So what's the weather like down there now in New Zealand?
It's nice and still. It's like it should be at this time of year now after the cyclone went through. And so we'll probably get the odd afternoon thunderstorm and everything, but it's beautiful. It's nice and still, and it's probably going to hit 27 degrees centigrade.
Yeah,
So we may get still a little bit of summer before the winter hits.
yeah, yeah.
We don't really
Your
have a
wi-
winter. Yeah.
your your winter start when it start exactly? Your winter normally
Uh,
in New Zealand.
April, March, April, depending. If we're lucky, it'll be the end of April sort of thing in
Mm.
Auckland anyway. We have a very damp conditions here, so it's a damp cold. We
Yeah,
say it gets down to 0 degrees sort of thing, but it's a really damp, miserable kind of cold. Not a nice, crisp, dry cold. So that's why our equipment gets hammered. It's always kind of damp and
yeah,
horrible.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
and right now today it'll be 90 plus humidity. So yeah, yeah,
It's quite damp.
yeah, yeah.
So we did a golf this morning. Lovely. It was lovely in the morning, and then it started raining up 11, and then it was raining was up to through the day. So it's quite a lot.
So you're in the south, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in the south. Yeah, I'm actually in a good spot in the south because where I am in the south, there is quite. If we have cold, we don't have that cold. What they got is in Scotland, up in North England.
Mm.
They have very cold over there, or snow, or where we are, it's Isle of Wight, so it's very. Snow is not coming. For a long time, it didn't come in snow here, but we got this year. We got quite hit in the minus temperatures. It was quite hit heavily on minus temperatures, and so I
So
hope it's not coming anymore.
so to answer the Texas beekeepers question down the bottom, that's
Yeah,
actually the
that's what
key.
I left it
That
for you.
I was going to say that really is the key. The key is to keep them in the dark, and the key is to keep them at a constant temperature. So that's why I don't know if you've seen the if I do go in there, I'll use the red light. The bees can't see the red light, so it
Yeah,
really
that's
is
right.
the key is to keep them in the
Yeah,
cold, or well, keep them at 4 degrees, but keep them in the dark. That's that really is the key to get them through the winters up here.
yes, Dan. Just to answer your question. Yeah, the Lawrence he does working with very close with license. So he's do a lot with license in UK. So that's why, and he lot posting about a lot of stuff about contents on the license equipment and all other stuffs because he's using in his operation. So yeah. Bees outside having to cluster.
Yeah, actually, I've actually talked to him up there and stuff like that. So um, there's a lot of good information about what you can and can't do. And once again, uh, work use or do what works for you. So what I have found is this is what I've found for myself. I've seen a lot of beekeepers lose their bees up here. Um,
Yeah.
due to the frost and stuff like that that builds up in the top of the boxes. So, um, I've lost bees that way myself. So, you just, like I say, understand what's going on in there, and then do what works for you. And like I said, I'm always open to new ideas. I'm always open to new
Yeah.
scientific facts and anything I can learn from anybody. I think that just makes me a better beekeeper.
Absolutely. We're all learning and challenging, and without our mistakes, we will never learn. And and sometimes it's a hard way. You learn in hard way, but
Yep.
we are all learning. We were still learning. So I did live chat with Ian last year, Ian Stapler, and I asked question if he did ever went cross of something. So we're talking varroa. We're talking. I'm going to mention that again. So by science. So okay, most of the highs of varroa. Did be anybody been test actually that varroa mites herself? How much varroa actually carry disease? When I asked Ian said to me, he actually never been mentioned. No many people mention about. We never heard people mention about that test of varroa. Single varroa. If you put on a microscope and test the varroa, what she's carry, what disease she actually carry. Because I believe that varroa actually carry a massive amount of disease. We actually not just they kill the bees, they actually that varroa will carry disease. That disease killing the bees.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
as I
right, Sebastian. It's something that's been looked at quite a lot in New Zealand. It's not really the varroa killing the bees; it's all the
Yes,
pathogens and so on.
absolutely.
So
I actually
in
yeah. I just Kyle. I was talking last year. That was last year. After I was talking to Ian, I was talking to Mike Palmer, and we was talking privately when I need to call him, and we talking. So I spoke to him, and I just tell you guys, he was actually very. He said to me, "That's very good point." He said, "You put a really good point, which is I will ask the guys who are doing a lot of science in there, and they did a lot of testing in there. I said, this is something we need to be looking to that. I said, this is something really powerful thing where if we know what she carry, we actually could deal with that. It's not just because we kill in varroa. We still that varroa still leave disease in their frames and hives, where that's really difficult to know what's killed the bees. Because sometimes you come to the beehives and you say, well, it doesn't look like this varroa, because you could see
yeah,
there no damaged wings, nothing, and you could say, oh, that varroa knocked them off. No, you don't know.
yeah. So the deformed wing syndrome, if you take it from so
Yeah,
a bee larvae will under stress will exhibit deformed wing.
yeah,
Okay, so if you take the mite out of the picture, and you put those larvae under stress, then there will be a deformity or a mishap in the growth of the wings, right? So that stress can cause a deformity from that perspective. But what we're talking about is the deformed wing syndrome from the mite pathogens, right?
yeah,
So what they found was that, and there's some science just come out. I don't know who was talking about this last year. What they found was, like, for instance, in New Zealand before varroa came, we had deformed wings virus, but it was carried by all sorts of insects like ants and so on and so forth. They could find a form of that virus on those insects. So along comes varroa mite, and it brings its own form of deformed wing syndrome, right? So everything's cool for a while, but then those two pathogens interbred as such,
Yeah.
which created a super version of that deformed wing syndrome. So we now have an exacerbated type of deformed wing syndrome. So yeah, that's what I sort of took from the science. It's a modified version of what was already existing in our environment prior to varroa, and then when
Yeah.
varroa came along, it brought its own version, and the two of them have interbred and created a superbug, I suppose, a much more virulent form of that. So,
Yeah, it was a very interesting point because I did ask Ian, and Ian that does a lot of science in his backyard. You know, he does massively a lot of science on varroa, like most of bee farmers does. And that question to Ian was quite interesting. Ian said, "This is very interesting for me. I will ask the question. This is something where I would like to know as well." Because that is, he said, if we could manage to do this, we could manage actually destroy the Varroa way, you know. But I'm sure some people are already working on that, so
yeah,
I'll leave
yep,
for
there is.
I'll leave for science that. So, but
So to answer Dennis' question there as well, if you're going to do a cutout in the dark with a red light, that probably would be beneficial to you. So normally bees, they normally don't fly a whole bunch in the dark. Now, anybody who's ever worked with bees in the dark, you usually only do it once. So bees they don't have really great eyesight, but the movement is something that they do react to. So I've worked with bees a couple times in the dark. Um, any of the movement, you know, I'm that big dark blob, and they do come at you
yeah,
after that. So I think
oh
the
yeah,
red
yeah,
light, the red light would probably help. I've never tried it, so it would be something that one would have to try and then find out. But like I said, if you ever work with bees in the dark, you usually don't do it too often.
no, they 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 will get you
So
when you yeah. Come on, Nico.
I think he lost his internet.
so I was just going to mention, like, working with my observation hive, getting the lights right was a huge part of that. And I started off using red lights. So you got to remember, I'm working off what the manufacturer was saying on the diodes that I brought. Okay, so I didn't actually analyze the light properly myself. I just worked off what I was given. So it was in the 640 nanometers, I think it is, range, which is the right range for the bees not to be able to see it. But the problem I had was I couldn't get enough light into the unit to then be able to see the bees. So I had a power dimmer on it, and I was able to tune up the lights with that. But what I found is the more power I put into those red lights, at some point the energy coming from those red lights, even though they were red, the bees then went for them. So there's an energy base to that red light thing as well. So you can have a red light, and but if you put too much energy through that light, they will still go for the light.
Yeah, yeah, they will. Yes, that's
Just
right.
a bit of
Because
information for you.
of the heat.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
hot bug.
Hey, welcome
Hello,
back.
Bob. Welcome back.
Yeah, don't talk
So
me
what
into
you
doing
did
that shit ever again.
Canadian sunflower come back from outside. It's very cold.
Well, I got out there and I got the first frame out, no problem, right? It was getting close to dark. First frame of larva out and moved it to that nuke, no problems. And then a person drives in my driveway while I'm out there and wants to buy honey.
Oh,
So
oh,
it was a
there's
little,
money. There's money again. That's good.
yeah. I probably only made $1 a sting that time.
Oh. Did he have extra? Did he have extra as well?
Still got bees in
Oh,
my.
wow.
Stinger hanging out.
No, she's just hitchhiking. You say hi to the lovely people. Oh yeah, Stinger might be hanging out.
So you got eggs and larvae in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you should have cells started by tomorrow. Eh?
Well, the bees started going right to it as soon as I put it in, so that's a good sign. That nuke, I had put a trim ring on the nuke. They were all up under the lid and around the feeder ring, and a few bees in the frame. Now that frame of larvae is in there, they're starting to come back down to it.
Yeah, tomorrow they'll be going for it, and they'll hold to that box now, and you should have cells started by tomorrow, and they'll be all good. Let them run.
Yeah, brood is always an anchor.
Yeah.
Here.
Just get some feed in there as well. So
if he doesn't have queens in there, I will go for find out any smaller frames with the smaller brood in there, and I just open the brood and just whack them in there. They will looking after that. It will make it queens.
Yeah, it was the wrong time of day for that. Where's it at?
Yeah, that's fine.
Right
You could do that tomorrow. Yeah, that's also right. Make sure they have.
We were just talking about working with bees in the dark. How'd that go for you?
Well, it wasn't quite dark when I went out, and it's still not quite dark, but darker than they would like. But the box that I grabbed too, it had a medium on top, and I opened it up. It had 9 frames in the bottom with a feeder, nothing in the feeder, right? And I opened it up and moved it, and I start looking through, and I've got my Apivar strips down there.
Yeah.
And they've backfilled it. It's like nectar, nectar, nectar. Oh, well, there's one with the mix. Of course, I had to go through 4 frames of pissed off bees before I got to that one, right? So, yeah, they lit me up. Good thing I just took my medicine when I came on.
We should think of something else we should have Bob go do.
You did took some medicine, Bob. I did saw you took a medicine before.
Yeah, I took it right before I went out.
Yeah. Now you got bee medicine.
That's the first time I've ever smelt that pissed off banana smell. When they were like ripe, for the defensive pheromone. That's the first time I've ever smelled it. And now I know exactly what not to look for.
Bit of live humor.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, Sebastian, I got boards and stuff like that that'll be arriving here right quick, so I'm going to have to call it.
We got.
Hello.
Yeah, we got.
Hello.
LaGrange,
you all right?
How's everyone doing?
Good.
From Quebec?
Yep, Quebec, Canada, and my first
Wow.
language is French. So
excellent.
Hi, we got Canadians, and Bob is 7-8 in US.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to get a few Aussies and Kiwis on here, even out the score a little bit.
Hey, I'm the minority right now.
Yeah, true.
Canadians, one from the UK. I don't know, 1 or 2 from the UK.
One from the UK, one from New Zealand.
Nice.
UK,
And me.
New
New
Zealand,
Zealand on the bottom, yeah.
USA.
Oh man,
The man with the lot of stinks.
Yeah, exactly. So I am going to have to book out. So thank you for the invite.
That's all right, James. Nice to chat with you. So
absolutely, let me know when you're on here again. I have to head back out to the wood shop.
Yeah,
I got about 6 weeks to get a whole pile of woodworking done. So thank you very much, and
have a nice rest of the weekend. Have fun.
Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
yeah, that wasn't fun. Yep. Look, I've got so many. This is just from this cutout, right? I've got. Can you see this?
Wow.
You guys saw my legs on the other one, but all up and down. Where you see my arms?
Yeah.
They were
Yeah, yeah.
stinging
Oh,
through my gloves. And I had gloves on out there right now, and they were still getting me.
That reminds me of when I first started. I had a lot of stings.
That was just from that cutout. It was just terrible because I was laying down on my back trying to reach up in the ceiling and vacuum, right? And they're falling down, and then they're just going at it. So,
but you didn't have today. That's the main thing. They didn't get you today.
no,
So,
not until I got back to my own yard. Then I started getting it.
I don't know if I ever want to do something like that. It looks like a lot of work.
It is, and the thing is with the cutout wouldn't have been that bad, but it's the area. If it was in a wall where I could stand up, it would have been no
Yeah.
problem. But because
easy. Yeah.
where it was, and you're underneath, and then you're holding your hands up all day long, trying to reach up in there to cut comb out and everything else. So it's a little bit difficult.
But
Bob is only here for the entertainment. That's correct.
how much they you normally they charge now in for cutouts like this? The bees, like,
That was
What
$500 today.
Right.
So
just for removing the bees.
yep, and the comb. But see, I got that
Oh,
bee
look at
flying
this!
around.
He's Bob's flying.
The bees flying around, man. So I got all the comb, all of the honey, so
And the
I got-
bees.
and the bees. Well, what's left of them now, right? So
Yeah. But they here in UK, you will pay depending where they are, and that we're talking 1K plus. They will not touch it
Well,
for less money.
I went out there with this, right, the
Yeah.
thermal camera, and I shot the floor, and it didn't look that big with the thermal camera. But
Yeah.
then you get underneath, and the thing is massive. So it's I got some video footage of it. I might do a little.
Get a small. Kyle, Bobby's flying with the bee in the
Oh.
office.
Yeah, the bee is flying around, and it's not any happier than it was when I brought it in. For sure.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting you to take off and go and do that at this time of night.
Well, it was still a little bit of daylight out there. In the first colony I went into, no problem. Boom, put it in there, no worries. It wasn't even the second colony that I opened to grab a frame of larvae and eggs out of. They were pissed. I mean, so it's all good.
And have those colonies got feed on them as well?
Yeah. Well, that nuke the 10 frame hive, I've got some syrup on that one. Yeah. No, I don't pay $1,500. I go to the VA, man. I got veterans hospital. So
Yeah, so they should be all go by tomorrow. Just keep feeding them and they'll build up real quick.
well, tomorrow it's going to be a nice day out.
So that's
So,
good.
In
That's
the
good for
70s,
them.
they'll be able to go get the pollen and stuff they need.
Yeah. Feed them up, and they will be absolutely perfect. Yeah.
She's still trying to fly around here. She
So
landed
get-
It looks like you have the temperatures to get more drones and maybe get more queens.
Yeah,
Like
so
there's
we've got some drones right now, and that colony that I cut out was packed with drones. So if any of those drones make it in the colony without the colony kicking them out, right, starting over again. So we'll
So
see.
where you in Canada? What part in northeast, or where you in
I'm in
Canada?
the east. Quebec is on the east side of Canada.
Oh, so it's quite more Alaska way.
It's
no,
not as
no,
cold as Alaska.
east. No, that's west. That's east. So
Yeah, Alaska is west. I'm
Yeah.
north of New York, say about
All right.
4 or 5 hours from New York, I think.
It's quite cold over there.
Oh yeah, but well, right now it's -4, so it's not that bad. But we had -30 a few days ago.
Wow.
Did you get so you bought your license this year, like right after I got mine, right? Not too long after. Oh,
You lost the voice. You lost your voice.
Oh, I muted myself. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I did my very first extraction with it this year, and it was amazing. My first extractor was a 2-frame tangential, so I had
Yeah.
to do 10 minutes, then
Then-
flip the frame, and another 10
Yeah.
minutes. And oh my god, it took me 12 hours to extract about 6 mediums.
Did you get yours after I got mine or before?
I'm not sure.
I
I'd
can't
have to
remember.
look it up, but about the same time as you.
How many
And,
highs you running? Fuck
Right
yeah.
now, I have 15. I
Oh, that's
might.
quite.
Sorry.
That's quite few now. Yeah.
Yeah, I might lose one. One of them is quite weak. I went to check on them today. Like the 14 other ones, they didn't even touch the fund that I gave them. They're that good. I used what's his name? Etienne Tardis insulation methods.
Mm-hmm.
I basically build a medium super out of foam.
Yeah.
First layer is a grid with an
Yeah.
insert where I could put food, and
Yeah.
then 2 more layers of 2-inch thick foam. So it's like
Yeah.
R60 on top of the hive.
Like polyhives.
Yeah. And on the sides, I have a blanket, and on top of it all, I have
Mhm.
like the foamies Ian used, like the reflective bubble wrap.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a beanie made out of this on top of everything else. So
Oh,
there's a
so you,
lot of insulation on top and a good amount on the sides. I don't even think the bees make a cluster at all. It's
yeah.
that warm in there.
So I
and that's
just
funny because that first colony I just went out to was in a poly hive,
mhm.
and they were just nice, and the other ones were in the wooden hive.
Yeah.
And when I opened that up, they got heated.
Hmm.
They got pretty upset.
I
That's what I
made a
was
few
showing you in
videos
that video,
showing how.
Bob. It's
Sorry.
yeah. There's a bit of a myth around the temperature side of things when it comes to inside the hive, and bees clustering or not clustering, and how much feed they'll take if the temperature's up inside the hive. They judge that by the external temperature, not the internal temperature. And if it's too cold outside, then they don't. If you've got enough insulation, then they won't cluster until really low temperatures. Like you
Yes,
can go
that's right.
-12 before they cluster. In a super insulated hive, they'll still be just chilling out at -12 C. Now that you don't. So in a super insulated hive at say 10 degrees below 0 centigrade, they won't be clustering. But you don't want to confuse that with energy use, because what they actually do is just chill out on the floor or around the hive. They don't actually use more energy. A wooden box at the same temperature will be clustering, and they'll be using a heck of a lot more energy than that other hive.
Yeah,
And so
that's
that's
right. Lots of food will go. Yeah, that's right.
and I can
If
show
So
you that in the videos and that.
if any of you want to know how I did it, I've made a few videos about it. It's really simple. It's a lot of insulation, but it's and a lot of work, especially to make the top
yeah,
insulation part. But it's really worth it. In the
Yeah,
future, I
yes,
might just buy poly mediums and add
yeah.
3 layers of foam inside to act instead of having to build the whole thing out of
So,
glue and
so you
foam.
got
Why didn't you just buy a
you got the
poly hive?
yeah, you got the license equipment. Yeah. So
Some,
if
yes, my extractor is licensed.
so, you should buy some license poly hives.
Yeah,
And
that's
I'll
what
tell you, they're very Bob. You can't leave Bob. You don't have in the office anyway, do you? You don't have
No,
it.
I don't have it near me. I got them outside now. I mean, one of
So
them is
they're very thick. They are 2
2 inches
inches.
thick.
Yeah, 2 inches thick. Poly. You could have a full floor as well, and I believe in Canada you should have full floor. So when you insulation, what Kyle just mentioned, their hive will hold temperature really well. I have bees in UK in polyhives, and I find out for the second season in a year, I find out there's a massive difference. The bees in the polyhives, they are like horsepower right now, and it's not spring yet.
Mm.
They are already on the power. You can see that
Mm.
in bees in actually in the wooden hives, they know where they are in the polyhives. That is a big difference, and I did observe that for 2 seasons now.
Yeah.
And for this year, the biggest investment will be we'll buy brood boxes all of Langstroth brood boxes and poly obviously and floors, all full floors, and change them slightly for the next 2 years. Change them all over in poly because the most powerful hives you want in the spring. Because if you don't have powerful hive in the spring, you don't have honey, and that's
Yeah,
end of you. Did I'm right,
and you're
Kyle?
going yeah, and you're going to notice some differences too. Your polyhives won't be as active outside of the hive as early as your wooden ones. The wooden ones have been under a lot of stress. They've had to
Yeah,
metabolize a lot of feed, and therefore they're
absolutely.
going to have to get rid of that feed once they can fly. Whereas your polyhives, they won't have been under that stress. They won't have been banking up so much. They won't need to go out and defecate as early as your other ones. So that's where a lot
Yeah,
of hives are dying in the snow. Bees are dying in the snow because they're just getting out whenever they can fly, and then
yeah,
they end up with cold coma and die. So you'll see you'll see bigger, much better, a better ability for the colony to take advantage of the weather when and where they want to
yeah.
versus need to, and that's a huge difference.
Massive benefit.
Now
Massive.
Yeah,
I'm really interested to see what happens in the summer when it's 100 degrees outside. If it stops them from bearding on the front, because
Yes, it helps.
it
It
They
helps.
will.
basically helps the bees regulate the temperature inside. The
They will.
problem is the
Yeah.
price. That's the problem I have. That's why I'm using external insulation. I use a lot of it, so I get kind of the same benefit as a polyhive because I simply cannot afford polyhives. They're just too pricey.
the
The thing with the price, though, is that you'll end up with much more bees, much healthier bees, and I
Yeah.
guarantee if you invest and you put the time in, you'll see that you're actually getting a lot more out of those polyhives than you would the wooden ones, and
What?
therefore the price is insignificant in the long run.
Yeah.
I got
How much is in Canada they are now the polyhives, the license?
I don't know. I couldn't look it up. Give me a moment.
Better Be had I bought it separate, right, because of the way I
Yeah.
wanted to do it, but it was like $75 for deep super, but with 10 frames.
Yeah.
So if you take
Cheap.
the frames
That's
out
cheap.
of it, right, you
That's
take
cheap.
the $3 a frame, so that's $30, so maybe $40 or so.
That is cheap. Yeah. That's a good price. Oh, that's a good price. So in UK, you will have to pay for license right about 150, 160
Is that for the whole
pounds.
thing? Is that
Yeah, for
box
whole of
based?
yeah. So you got brood box, floor brood box, but no frames. Okay, no frames. That's no frames included. Two supers, queen excluder, and a roof. So that's how the price are. But if you buy it from license directly from Poland, you were talking about around about £100. So I'm sure if you thinking in Canada buy some 10, 15 hives, the 10, 15 hives will get fit you on a pallet where you will pay for the transport and everything. And I'm sure if you get asked for 15 hives buy it from license directly, you will have some maybe discounts. Maybe they support you in a way where you can see bigger picture because the hives will go in a very cold place. Like Kyle mentioned, the benefit will be for your bees and for you for
That's
the long way.
exactly why that was my rationale of why I didn't buy them as well, was the price.
I made a quick search and I don't think there's any available right on the stores near my location. I don't think there's any
So
polyhives available.
Better Be is in New York.
Yeah.
Okay, a deep with frames is 74.75. The whole setup, that's 8.9. Let me see if they got the assembled license hive kit, which I believe
Yeah.
is 10 frames.
Yeah.
Already
Yeah,
put together is $135. That's two deeps, a lid, and a bottom board.
Yeah.
So that's the whole.
and frames?
And
Yeah.
if you want to put it together, it's $113.95.
So
So
I
I've got a
give you
couple of
I give you a suggestion. Sorry, Kyle. I give you a suggestion. So you don't need to buy a full hive. Well, I will buy it if I'm you. Because you learn the Langstroth, am right? 10
Yeah.
frames Langstroth.
Yeah.
Yes, I run 10 frame line stuff.
So okay, so what you go and buy it? You go and buy a deep floor and a roof.
That's
So every single
Yeah.
brood box will be safer in there. When the honey floor come, you could put wax that on top and it will fit because I do, and I know that fit because they're 2 inches thickness. The water will not go inside in the hive at all, no chance. And you will stack the
wood.
medium or deeps on top the hives, and you will stack in how much you want, basically for honey. The brood box will be a poly, but the honey, all the honey things you will get on wood ones.
And then at the
And
end
you,
of the season, you take them off and put the top back on. You're ready for
Yep.
winter.
the
Exactly.
installation I made for the wooden boxes had a really good results because there's R60 on top over R60 and there's R10 on the sides.
Yeah.
But it's well it's extra space because I gotta remove it after
Yeah.
winter's done.
You
But
have to
it's
save some
really
way.
good results.
So a couple of
Yeah.
tips for you, Bob.
Pardon me?
A couple of tips for Bob with the 100 degrees. That Reflectex. Put that on the sun-facing sides of your box on the outside. In that heat, it'll drastically drop the temperature down.
There's 4 feet of snow in front of my hive. That's my insulation.
Yeah, no, we're talking about the summer for Bob
Okay.
and
Licer.
bearding and stuff, right?
Sorry.
If you put that Reflectex around the sun-facing sides of your boxes, that'll reflect the sun away, right? So it'll just add that little bit extra for them. And you guys using the poly boxes, rather than just leaving the lids naked on top, so the bees can get in contact with the lid, get some heavy-duty plastic and cut it the size of your brood box lid, and put that down first, and then your lid over the top. The bees will actually burr comb up just a little bit into the plastic, into that ridge that's in the box lids,
Yeah.
so that they can ventilate over the frames.
Yeah.
And they'll do whatever they need, and every now and then you can take it off and collect that wax. But so we're talking about one brood chamber management.
Yeah.
And then they'll work it. Yeah, that's the one.
Like Charlie said, one.
They'll lift that plastic up slightly into the rebate of the lid, and then they'll burr comb that, and they'll do that to what they need, because you got to remember, like I showed you in the video, they're taking the ventilation up and over the frames and bringing it down or up and through wherever they need to ventilate within the hive at a specific time. So that's what that burr comb's for. Then you don't have to deal with burr comb all over your lids and trying to clean them. They stay spotless, and the thing with the plastic is it makes such a good seal around the edges. They only have to propolize a very small amount, and it's watertight. So that's what I do with mine. So
I got a feeder on my 10 frame license right now, but it's like they're not even bothered with it. They're not even really drinking it. And my wood colonies, if I put a jar on top of them, they're trying to take it down.
Yeah, so listen to the bees. They're not needing it as much. That's a sign from the bees, not a.
They don't need it.
Yeah.
They have enough they basically have enough in area now. They have pollen and probably they have some nectar already, Bob. They started bringing something in already. That's why they don't take it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of activity going on in that hive, but the queen she's laying it up. I mean, she's trying to grow that colony. They're just not, like you said, there's not that much activity at the front compared to some of my other colonies.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, we're not there all the time, and there's probably in this time of year there's probably an hour window where they were working like mad. When you turn up there, they will be already quiet there. But because it's that hour, they have the window in an hour. I actually, where one of my April I go there is a quite nice sunny around about 11, 12 o'clock. And this time of year, it was like 13 or 12. You could go there and you could see between 11 and 12, they're going like crazy. And after 12, because you get the sun behind the trees a little bit, and you could see the bees just like quiet. It's like you like you like chop the hands off. There's no bees now, no many activity over there.
Right.
So that's why they do work and they do find nectar somewhere, definitely. Especially if there's trees blooming and everything up there. There's some flowers in the garden people have already in your area because you don't have winter that winter, right, Bob?
No, we don't. Not too much. I mean, it gets cold, like
Yeah,
maybe zero, what you guys would call zero,
yeah,
but then it comes right back up. You know.
yeah. So you you you
I
you
want
you're in the same you're in the same boat as us here. I mean, me here. So it's quite
there's a question there from Grammy Midwives.
yeah.
I
Let
hope
me
I got
see.
that right.
Yeah,
Apamase plastic with
Yeah,
poly inside of it, right?
yeah. That's a
yeah,
plastic.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so the difference is that plastic is a conductor of cold, right? So the edges of it's going to be a little bit colder than a poly box. They also have those big latches on them, and inside of the box there's a big flasher plate which the bolts go through and bring your hook handles to, right?
yeah.
So that steel's going to it's going to conduct temperature through that steel into the box. So that's going to become a dew point area on that steel on the inside. So these are all things that you've got to consider when you're talking about insulation. It's the same with
That's
a
right.
lot of the manufacturers' poly boxes, where they have the cutouts or the rebates for your handles.
Yeah,
That's a point where that R6 that they claim, it's not an R6 anymore. So that's going to be the condensation point or dew point position. So those are all things to consider when you talk about an R rating, and then most of those boxes have a vented floor, so straight away you don't have what's called an envelope, which is important when you're talking about an R rating.
yeah.
Any hole in that R rating or in that envelope will deplete the ability for that hive or that capsule to contain or sustain an R rating, right?
Yeah, I see here in UK they have a lot of polyhives, massively. So uh, I'm pretty sure you might saw some of my video, Kyle. I done a video of a polynux and I built actually mini mated nux from installation, which
Yeah,
is a hard installation which they're using for polyhives. They back in Poland there's this costs probably around about £50 per 12 sheets. So you could build around about six hives. Around about six hives you could build. I'm talking six. I would say six hives, but that me talking three deeps on each
yeah,
floor and roof.
yeah,
Around about six hives you could build from the 12 sheet, and that costs you £50. What you need for that is a typical glue for that, screws. They're very hard. You could walk on this, and you will walking on that. You will not leave
yeah.
basically a footprint on there. There will be no
High
chance.
density, high density. So is that open cell? Is it extruded or extruded polystyrene or
It's a called styrodur. So it's
styrofoam?
like yeah, it's a very hard report. They're using this in floss installation in a floss, and they do in a cavity. They put that in a cavity. Very hard. That's a very you will not broken by hand basically. The 400 what I use a 400 usually 4 centimeters wide.
Yeah,
And that is honestly I got nooks. I did make a nooks of that. I did make mini mated nooks. Unbelievable good they are. And I will
yeah.
planning
So,
this year bringing more another pack more maybe two because that is so good and I could see the benefit of the polyhives of the things for the future because the weather is so varied. The temperatures, the dampen rain, like we have in back in the December, we have so much rain, and then we
yeah,
go hit minus temperature, -7, -10 for like 3 weeks all the time. And the day was -3, -1. So the bees, like you
yeah,
just said, the bees got problem because the moisture, so much moisture, and then they just got hit by a lot of moisture and then a cold, and then just a lot of people lost their
yeah,
lives. Some people lost their like wow,
yeah.
20,
So
30%.
I had more hitchhikers on me than I thought in the kitchen. They were all on the light. My wife she's hollering in there. You got bees in my kitchen. So people were asking me about these boxes.
Yeah.
So dovetail, they were $12.
Yeah.
So
that's quite good price.
I looked up the prices you asked for, Bob. A medium, if you buy bulk, they're 22.75 Canadian, and otherwise they're 24.25 Canadian dollars, obviously.
from
From the nearest beekeeping supply shop to my place, and they're also the cheapest on the boxes. That's about 24 bucks Canadians.
Well, which one? The poly one? You're talking poly?
There's no poly available
No
at
poly.
all.
no poly at all.
No.
So I want to explain a couple of things. The poly boxes that you buy from the manufacturers is what's called expanded polystyrene. Okay, so it's steam expanded or heat expanded. So it goes in as a little resin ball, and then it's heated and expanded, but with heat. The stuff that you're talking about, Sebastian, is and so that's called open cell. So that manufacturer's stuff is called open cell polystyrene expanded.
Yeah.
And it comes in different weights. So the weights are worked off.
That's right. I have 700
pounds per.
Yeah. So my one is 700.
700 what?
It called MP or something. Something is. I just try and find out. I will show you in a second.
Yes, on the expanded polystyrene, what they do is they work off a weight of 1 pound per square foot, or 2 pound per square foot. Okay, and it goes up to about 16 pound per square foot. Now, when you buy a manufactured poly box, they're going to be a 2 pound square foot. Sort of, they should be 2 pound per square foot. So that's the density of the material.
Yeah.
So you can think about that by the stuff that you buy food and refrigerated or cooled food. Those polystyrene boxes, they're very light, and you can squeeze them with your fingers and dent them. So that'll be around 50 to 100 pounds. It'll be 50, I think, pounds per square foot. 0.5. Okay, so that's what you get for the food storage ones. But your expanded polystyrene hive bodies, which is what the manufacturers use, will be 1 to 2 pounds per square foot. So it's much denser. You can beat it with your hand and stuff and not dent it. Okay, so. But the stuff that you are buying, Sebastian, for the housing stuff is more likely. I'm not 100% sure, but that's called extruded polystyrene. Okay, so it's a closed cell formation, and they use gases to expand it, but there's no holes through it. Okay, so your expanded polystyrene has little gaps in it, microscopic gaps. Your extruded polystyrene doesn't. So it's completely water impervious. And that's the one that they usually use, not always, but that's usually what they use for insulation under floors and stuff.
So this one, my one, called 700 KPA.
KPA. So that's compression strength.
Right. So just give you ideas, back in Poland, most bee farmers, they do themselves. And they all make from this product. That's what they are. So I got a friend, he running 300 hives, and all of his hives, they are made from this product. And he said they're very light, very easy to make. They're 40 mil wide, which tell me what, inch 0.75, nearly 2 inches wide. And they're very good all over winter bees, and in summer and spring, no problem. Absolutely perfect. The bees no chew up as well. They're not chew up at all.
Yeah, well, I paint my extruded my production boxes that I've bought, Paradise boxes. Yeah, I paint the inside of those to stop that. So your closed cell foam So you get a 40 mil piece of closed cell foam, and you put it up against a expanded polystyrene at the same size.
Yeah,
The closed cell will have a much better R rating than the
hmm
same in expanded polystyrene. So if you're going to make bee boxes or use insulation, go for the closed cell extruded polystyrene.
yeah. It's very interesting because I funny actually is that product, this strawberry, is made here in UK. I don't
Yep.
know why. But I don't know why personally. You cannot buy this here. You can well, you can, but if you buy a lorry, you can't buy packs of 12 or 24. You know, like or a couple of packs. No, you have to buy a lorry.
A whole
Um, um,
truckload.
yeah, but you go into Holland or Germany, you could buy one pack or two packs
Hmm.
of that product. Don't know why. I did ask here. I contact directly to them. I said I want I like to buy like 2 or 3 packs. Sorry, we not going to sell you 2 3 packs. We produce to run the Europe this in the market, and if you order one lorry, we will deliver it to you. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I can't. I don't want one lorry.
If you
Um,
if you want to make the stuff yourself, it's very easy. You just buy the 2-part liquids, mix them
yeah,
up,
I know.
and pour them in a mold. And then you can use a hot wire to cut it or make a mold that's the right size. So that's another option. They do that in Russia and Ukraine and stuff. There's a lot of guys using it's pour foam basically.
Yeah, they do in
Mm,
UK. In Poland, there is a business. They started make polyhives.
yeah,
Uh, I actually was looking to get the Langstroth from them, and they actually I actually got the price from them, so they're quite good price as well. So we'll see how much there will be, how they will be, here. I don't know. I didn't see them in my hands, so I don't know how good they are. I know license of them; they're good. I could see. I saw them many times, so I know they are. And so I have my one. They come from Finland, Langstroths, the
yeah.
polyhives. They're very good as well. So
You don't
Finland.
run the national deep like everybody else in the UK.
I have a couple of nationals, but I don't like them. They're too small.
I mean, compared to a Langstroth, they're what, about that big? There's
uh, well, Langstroths, there's they're big frames. To compare to the national, they very small frames national. So I would say you got to have once. So Langstroth's brood box and national, you will have to get national brood box plus super on top. That would be the compared to Langstroth brood box.
okay.
So that's it, basically if you not be on the top of the bees, you will lose them. They will swarm because you will not catch them. They're so quick. You have to work them very quick with them to get on there. So Langstroth is more. They have more space to
Well, I just
less space.
see Black Mountain Honey. He's in the
Yeah,
UK, right? And
yeah. He is. Well, he's in Wales. Yeah, in up North Wales. Yeah.
he's using national deeps mostly.
Yes, that's right. I watch Lawrence quite often, but he's using because there's a reason why some people using. There's a reason because it's a market for nukes.
Oh, okay.
There's a massive market in nukes. That's why they're using a national. But bee farmers, most of the bee farmers, Kyle and guys who are talking 200-300 hives. Then most of them they're not using nationals. They're using Langstroths.
I don't know which type of hive Richard Noel uses, but they're the deepest brood box I've ever seen. Like the frames are almost like 50
Dadant,
cent. Sorry,
Dadant one. The
they don't.
they didn't. Yes,
Is that
they're
the
big. They're big frames, but they're not using much here. I didn't see many here anyway. They're
Okay.
not.
but he uses normal size honey supers, right? That's just his brood box.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah,
a brood box.
Yeah.
So he's probably using what do they call it? Gosh. can't. There's a specific name for it that they call that colony, and I can't think of it now because I'm trying to. If I wasn't, it would be right
But
there.
they're using quite. They have the frames 1412 as well, so they are 75% of a Langstroth frame. But the problem you have, the frame is not wide, the frame is long. Okay, so when you lift the frame up, wax goes to, you got a lot of bees both sides. Okay, so if you try and checking up the bees, check the frame out, you know what happened. You lift it up, and they were just like, woof, gone. Thanks very much. The bees on the floor with the wax because it's
Richard
so
Noel,
heavy.
Richard
Yeah.
Noel uses wires to reinforce his
Yes,
frames.
that's what I do as well. Yes, that's what I do. All my frames I pre-drill, uh like Bob and all the guys using. I drill it up, put a wire in, and then I put my wax myself. And I'm not trust any interesting things to be magic things. Just to make sure it's wire in, wax up, and they no problem. I don't have accidents when you lift the high frame or anything. There's no issue there at all.
So Dan's put a good comment in there. The Owings Corning pink 2-inch poly.
Yeah.
So that's a good comment. Something to think about. It's only 200 kPa, which is something you want to think about when you're building from the poly stuff. You want to go for a high kPa.
Yes, you have to go for 700. 700 is the so in 200 they will possibly they will chew up through. They will because it's soft. So 700 is no problem. They will not go chew this up. They might be little bit, but they will not chew up. There's a quite very high consistency, but that's why it's very hard for them. So they will not in there. But that's another thing. If you over bee population in a nook or hive, and they don't have space, they will start chewing everywhere. So you
I
make
guess
sure it's not over, basically not over cloud, not too many bees in there. If there's so many bees, you got problems.
if
They'll
you
do that with a
paint
wooden box too.
Yeah.
if you paint the boxes, they won't chew through it though. It's an extra
Yeah.
step, but that might be a way to solve the problem.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Painting does make a difference. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's another thing as well. Yeah. So it's got massive difference on there. So basically, good night, Lisa. Basically, DC is going. Yeah, DC is going. Yeah. So good night, Lisa. DC. I don't know his name, but hope you could tell me these names because I don't remember the names. Too many names. You can't remember everyone. Yeah, but with in Canada, you must be got short year to beekeeping.
Yes, the season is slightly shorter. It begins in late May, early
Yeah.
June, and
Hmm.
it ends in September.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is very, very intense.
Yeah.
I had 2 hives in production this year. The rest were split, and
Yeah.
I made about 30 gallons of honey from
Oh,
two
right.
hives. So yeah, I have a lot of honey.
So you got a lot of honey in there this year.
Yeah, just from 2 hives, like feel like 30 gallons. That's like 60 pound. Well, I use a weird blend of imperial and metric, so
Yeah. Yeah.
sorry.
So
But that's the 5 gallon pails. I have
yeah.
over five
Yeah. That's pretty good. That's
from two
pretty good.
hives. I'd say yes, it's pretty good.
Did you Bob mentioned you bought some of the license creamer? Did you?
No extractor, a 30
Oh,
frame
extractor.
extractor, radial. It's a marvelous machine. I love it.
30
It
frames.
Yeah, 30 frames. It did
Yeah.
in 3 hours what took me this year, what took me 12 hours the year before.
Yes,
Yeah,
Lisa.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
is
yeah, Grammy, from 2 hives, over 30 gallon. I do have basswood tree, linden.
Yeah,
Those tree make a lot of pollen.
yeah.
Uh,
Lot,
I should say
lot honey.
nectar, not pollen.
Yeah,
Boo!
nectar, nectar.
Sorry, English is not my first language, so sometimes I mix the words and I
Where you,
think
where you,
both
where you,
languages.
where you, where you from?
I'm from Quebec, so the first language here is French.
French. Yeah,
Yeah.
Quebec. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, hi, Josh. California beekeeping. Wow, 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 wow. So we got a from California beekeeper here. The queen breeder
Yeah.
is there. How's it going? How is the breeding?
Almonds.
You start the breeding queens, Josh? See what he's put in the comments in there. Just see. Um, he doesn't try and put in a chat link on there so we could uh, we could quickly get that link for him so he could get in there also.
How's the pollination going at the almonds?
Yeah, because he's working. Josh is working on almond. Yeah, that's right. Um,
Start
oh,
grafting in about 2 weeks. Yeah.
oh wow.
Yeah.
That's no long. Very soon. Very soon. Um, Josh, I'm going to send you link so you could join for a couple of minutes if you like. Uh, so 1 second, I need to get him to pop
Is it
it up.
Josh? Is it?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's been hard to know everyone's names with all these taglines.
Yeah, he's yeah. So that's good. I cannot wait to see your update from the grafting and from the almond. One of our friends went actually, a friend of mine from Poland, she went to California. They actually loading the bees to the almond. She was actually she's a beekeeper as well, with her boyfriend. They went over there. It was amazing. I saw some videos and the pictures, and they've been doing inspecting the bees and everything in there. So it was amazing as you see that. So yeah, it's interesting, and I see quite a lot update. Oh, he's driving. Oh, yeah. Where are you driving to? You're
Oh, yeah.
probably driving in Almonds. So yeah, it's a lot interesting stuff going in there. So I was listening Bruce about Bruce bees. Bruce have the bees over there, and actually Bruce have a queens from Josh, and so it's amazing how they're performing. I saw the update from Bruce and how they're performing from is amazing. So yeah. So even Brian Castle Hive, he's got queens from the California Beekeeper. So they're doing really well. You could see the hives doing really well so far for him over winter. So that tell you how good they are being breeding. So so any plans, guys, for weekend? Any plans to do any beekeeping this weekend? Any?
Me, I'm just going to be checking on mating queens to make sure they've been mated before I count them in my numbers. I'm just
Yeah.
doing my last round of splits for the season, and then I get into the research again once I've settled everything. Once everything's established for winter, I'll push the button on that research. Yeah, and then getting ready for next spring, the research I want to do there with the CO2 control.
Yeah.
I've still got quite a bit of work to do with sensors and seeing whether seeing what I've got to do to get those sensors working inside the box. In other words, where is the CO2 reading that I
Yeah.
want? I kind of know where I want to put it, but I'm thinking I know what I'm doing and actually trying it out a few times is two different things. So I've got got to prototype all that and give it a go, and because CO2 in the hive is one thing, but effective CO2, in other words, effective on the mites potentially, is another thing. So placement of those sensors is going to be critical for that aspect, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see once and for all whether those bees are controlling the CO2 with the gated hive and that control they have versus an ungated hive. So that'll be something to look forward to. Yeah.
So, but to that CO2 point. So I'm growing vegetables, and some of growers in United States, they grow pumpkins and everything. So I'm going to tell you something. I actually believe massively CO2 is very important in
Yeah,
even
it is.
vegetables, even
Yeah.
growing vegetables.
Yeah,
So just give an example. The largest pumpkin was grown last year. It was nearly 3,000 pounds.
Yep.
Pumpkins was being grown by guys in here in United Kingdom, which was contained in a greenhouse, which was pushed CO2 inside in there. So the plants
Yep.
was performance unbelievable.
Yep.
The plants was basically the leaf of a plant was like my table.
Yeah.
It was like 3 foot, 2 foot. It was size of the leaves, which is incredible. So
Yep.
how important is for growing a plant, just say pumpkin, giant pumpkin, and even growing tomatoes. The CO2, how important it is the same way in the bees. It's very, very important, the CO2. And I
Well,
believe that CO2 it can make actually trigger with actually varroa.
well, the thing with what I'm asking, the question I'm asking is, if given the choice, like, so if you watched my video, you would have seen the bees controlling that internal entrance, right? And they're valving and they're venting or they're blocking. Okay, so there's a reason for that. It's the bees doing it, and they're taking control of that internal environment.
Yeah.
So the question is, given the opportunity to do that, are they able to control that CO2 level, or would they want to, or will they control it at a higher level than the opposite, which is an ungated hive with no control? Okay, so they'll be able to control it within the cluster. There's no doubt about that. But given the choice of controlling it by blocking the gate, for instance, and controlling the whole hive, that then becomes an effective CO2 level that they possibly are manipulating themselves. They may be, they may not be. Okay, there is some science around how they will lower their metabolism by upping the CO2 level in the hive or in the cluster. So therefore, that suggests that they are manipulating the CO2 level when they need to, for to go into a torpor, for instance. When I say torpor in a loose term, but to conserve energy by lowering their metabolism, okay, and using higher CO2 levels to achieve that within the cluster at a colony level. So sure, they can do that. So when you watch that video in that live stream, you would have seen the ungated hive retreating up into a cluster. Okay, so within the barriers of that cluster, internally, they could be, and it's been shown that they are controlling the CO2 level in there slightly higher than your external level, right? So what I'm asking is, okay, given that they're controlling that internal entrance so finitely, are they then, when you compare the gated versus ungated, are they actually keeping the CO2 level within the whole hive at a higher rate? Because the mite numbers that I got in the gated hive were substantially lower than the ungated hive. I mean, talking the gated hive had 20 mites after 6 months of no treatment. The ungated hive had 220. So there is some control going on there, but I wasn't monitoring for CO2. So
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing next. Is I want to see whether they are actually controlling that CO2 level at an effective manner, which means the whole hive around all the bees internally, not just inside the cluster. So that's what I'm doing next when I talk about the CO2. Now,
Keith asked how much CO2 does take to control the mites.
we don't know. I'm not sure on that one. I can't answer that one. That's not a known thing, I don't think. If anyone has any information, I'd love to know. But well, I mean, we
But I think
you can get mite drop from injecting CO2 into a test jar. But I don't know the exact amount of CO2 parts per million that it would take to knock a mite out. So
I think now don't quote me on this, but Brad was on the other night, or James, and he said that a bee can take, I want to say 60 parts per million, and a varroa mite can take like 40,000 parts per million, something like that, of CO2 and concentration. So there's about a 20,000 parts per million
different.
Before the varroa dies and and James actually did that this year, pumped CO2 into his building to the appropriate parts per million. So he said he'll know in the spring, with the success on varroa when he tests them, when he pulls them out in a month or so.
Yeah, but see, what I'm talking about here is the ability for the bees to actually do it themselves. I mean, you think about their antennas, and you've got a gas spectrometer on it, or two of them on each bee, and when you're watching them ventilate the hive, it's not just for temperature or humidity. Gases like CO2 are another factor in that. And so when you add the gate and you see them controlling it so much, then there's that possibility that they're actually controlling CO2 as well. I say possibility because I haven't tested it yet. That's what I'm doing this coming spring, hopefully, if I get enough money to do it. But that's the key to it, is if they're actually controlling it themselves, you wouldn't need to gas your shed, right?
Yeah.
And all your hive. So if your hive is completely sealed up and the only entrance is the gate, then there's a chance. Okay, I haven't tested this, so don't go off thinking I've done anything. That they may be able to control that CO2 level at a rate which is detrimental to the mites. Now, I wouldn't say that they're doing it on purpose for the mites. So it's not something I think that they're doing specifically to kill mites, okay, per se. But they may want to be able to control it much more than we've allowed them to through having an uncontrollable door. So when I talk about an uncontrollable door, if you look at a well-established tree hive that has a tunnel entrance, and at certain periods of the day, they will actually be blocking the door internally, that little tunnel. Okay, they'll use their bodies just like I showed you in the gate. So they're doing exactly the same behavior in the gate. And there'll be a reason for that. Now, some of it's for humidity, some of it's for oxygen CO2 level exchange, and I don't know what that exchange is and what the bees are wanting themselves. But when I start monitoring, I can pretty much guarantee that the levels that I find in the gated hive will be the levels that the bees want, okay? Versus the level that you get in an open system, which is a normal hive without a gate. That's an uncontrolled system, and therefore it's not controlled by the bees. And when you're talking about these factors, so that, again, I don't want to go on too long, but that's what I'll be testing this season. So
very important. Yes, that's a very good. I like that what you're doing. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, that's a very good things.
I do have some papers there on the CO2. There were some studies done in the lab on restricted ventilation in the hive, and they found good results on the mites from that. But it was controlled restricted ventilation, not by the bees, but by the researchers. So there's no doubt that CO2 has an effect on mites, but how do we achieve that CO2 level, effective CO2 level, preferably without having to inject CO2 into the sheds, but rather let the bees do it themselves? So that's what I'm asking this coming season. Yeah.
Are you an independent researcher?
Me, I'm just a beekeeper that does lots of crazy stuff.
Okay.
So
No,
I don't know.
yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know
come
what
on.
I'd say I am. I don't want to.
Now, all of your videos, Kyle, they're on your website, right?
Yes,
No, I don't have any. That stuff that I showed you guys in the live stream, that's the first time I've shown anyone any of my videos, and that was only one day out of 300 or 14 months of continuous video footage, night and day. So there's a lot more that I can show you when it comes to behaviours, gated versus non-gated. So there's actually quite a lot there, but it's
that stream was on Lee's channel because that was when I was in my hack, right?
Yep.
So I will look it up.
So anyone that hasn't seen that, I suggest you go and look at it. And what you're looking at, what I'm talking about is you'll see me talking to it, and it's the bees controlling that internal entrance. And they actually block it with their bodies, and they'll valve their bodies away or open the door as much as they need or want, or they'll completely open it, or they'll extend it, and you'll see it in the videos, and that's the control that I'm talking about.
Yeah. If you go to Lee's channel, it was the January 31st live. You got to go to the live tab, and it's the Tuesday night live on the 31st of January. It says Hive Gate, Kyle Atkinson.
You could put a link in here. That's
right.
I'll take this opportunity, but if there's anyone out there that's overwintering in the barns, in the sheds, I'd love to run a trial.
It may not allow me
next winter. So if anyone wants to put their hand up to be part of that, give me a hand to get that done, reach out, please, because I don't really have an opportunity over here to do it. I'm trying to find someone that does it, but it's not a common thing here. Yeah.
So I dropped the link in the chat, but I don't think it let me. So I put it in the private chat there, Sebastian. You might have to drop it.
Yeah, I will try and get this copy and.
It's what is about an hour and a half presentation, but you get to see the hive, how it is acting from the bottom of the cluster and the with the hive gate. So it's very interesting. I watched it twice, and I thought it was interesting both times with the because when we open a colony, most of the time, we just see the top-down perspective, right? And if we do see the bottom, it's because we're lifting it up to check for queen cells or something like that. But to actually watch what's happening underneath the cluster from day to day is something that I don't think many people get a chance to see. And Kyle's videos.
I'm going to put this link after we finish with the video. I will put on the video so there will people have access to have a look the live stream directly. They will see.
It was interesting to see the two differences though, Bob, between a normal open entrance and a gated hive. It was 180-degree difference in behavior and therefore outcomes. So
with the hive gate, honestly, there was not much difference. Depending on the time of day, the cluster just stayed right there. And without it, when it started getting later in the day and the temperature started to change, they started to move up in those frames, which
the ungated one.
Yeah. So that's why Kyle, I bought some of the gates from Forms, and I'm sure they will be delivered very soon. They should be coming in this week. So
get them on those poly hives, and you'll see another level of control. Like they'll pay for themselves in the first season, especially during that spring build up, because they'll be able to completely block out those variances in temperature and conditions, right? So
Yeah.
they'll have this beautiful, steady conditions inside the hive, and as long as you keep the feed going in there, they'll just
Yeah.
rock it. Like it's one of the reasons why I can make so many damn hives from very little. Like this season, I went from 4 hives to I'm now at 63. You know,
Wow.
it's a big deal, and I mean, you watch that video and you can see why. It's not, you know.
So Dan says, how deep of winter cold do you get in New Zealand?
But we only, and where I'm at, I only get down to 1 degree centigrade or 0. That's why I'm asking people to do some help me out a little bit with lower temperatures. It also depends on what materials you're using for hive boxes, right? That's a real key to this whole picture. It's not all about the hive gate. The hive gate gives them the ability to control the environment you give them. So the better control they have from their environment, i.e., their hive box material, the more they can exact the control using the hive gate.
Yeah.
When you're using a polystyrene hive and all the rest of it that just has an open entrance, then like you see in the video, they'll be able to hold themselves from going into cluster at a much lower temperature, but they still suffer from that lack of control. And therefore, you'll still end up with moisture problems that aren't of the bees doing. And you'll still end up with, at certain temperatures, say 15, 20 degrees below 0 centigrade, you'll still end up with them clustering into the wall or up into the corner or whatever. So it's something I'd like a bit of data on when it comes to sub-zero temperatures and so on. Yeah.
It's a very interesting research, especially in the CO2 what we were just talking about. So that's Bobby. Well, you was not here. I was just talking about. Well, you might be just popped up back, but the CO2, how people grow in the vegetables on CO2. They put CO2 in there, and the plants performance of the plant is just wow. It's just a different world.
Well, I
So
mean,
that's the
trees
same.
take in CO2 and give off oxygen, right? So
Yeah. It's just crazy, you know, you could do a lot of things, but I believe the CO2, it's maybe that's a trick to destroy the mites as well.
I'm
So
hoping. Yeah.
that
I'm
is,
hoping so.
guys,
Yeah.
yeah. So I hope, fingers crossed, Kyle,
yeah,
you do
Yeah.
the research.
Well,
So
I'm trying to debunk my own thoughts or my own findings from the last little exercise that I did, because remember I got a massive reduction in mites on the gated hive, but I only had temperature and humidity. So in the gated hive, apart from morning and afternoon, on the gated hive they had a real dip in the humidity levels, right? And
mhm.
then they got it back up again, and they kept it sustained all night long. And then the same in the morning, they had a bit of a dip, and then they got it back up, and then they sustained it all day long. On the ungated hive, the humidity levels was going from 95 to 99 down to 55% relative
Wow,
humidity,
big
and then
drop.
up again, and then down again, and up again all day long and all night long. Doesn't matter what
That's not
time of
good.
the year. On the gated hive, they never dropped below 70% relative humidity, and that was only once or twice. They really never dropped below 75% when they had that dip in the afternoon and in the morning. But otherwise, they kept it at 85, 95% relative humidity. Now, there's some science that says that if they're able to sustain that sort of relative humidity with the right temperatures, then the varroa mite's reproduction rate is something like 0.02%, which is non-sustainable for mites, right? They'll die. So, I can confirm that that I got a lower mite level substantially, and I can confirm that I had really good relative humidity levels. So I could just say, okay, that's what did it. But I don't know that. What I've got to now answer is the CO2 levels in the hive. Are they controlling the CO2 levels, and therefore could it be that the CO2 levels were at a non-mite friendly level? Okay, so that's what I'm trying to answer this coming season, and then I'm hopefully going to be able to say, okay, well, yes, there's a higher CO2 level inside these hives with the gate, and I'm still getting these reduction in mites. But then it leaves me with another question: is it the CO2 level or is it the humidity level that gave me that result?
Yeah. I'm
Who
hearing
cares?
you.
If I get the right result, who cares? But you know, in my mind, I've got to answer, well, which one is it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a long process, and it costs me everything I've got to do this, but I'll get there eventually. You know.
That's a very good project anyway. That's a good thing. So Kyle, he's make entries, gate entries for the hives in New Zealand. So are you hearing? Are you alright? You hearing that? Or you because you're not frozen?
No. Oh, me or
No, right
No.
there.
Next door.
Laramie
No,
or Lagrange.
you frozen?
He's got his mic muted.
I muted. Are you? I think so.
it's frozen?
Yeah.
No, his eyes
It's
are
cold
moving.
up there.
Oh no, he's in
What?
there.
I saw his eyes blink.
Oh yeah, he's in there now.
This
Yeah. So yeah, this is. Does New Zealand have grants to help with researching sound like great project to fund? I'm sure they do have. New
Oh
Zealand and Australia, they do have a lot of things on there. I think. There's all right. I'm right with
no,
that or not?
no, I've been doing all this on my own back. I've spent everything
No.
I've had for the last 7 years now on which I didn't have anything. I've just been relying on Hivegate sales to keep this research going because I don't have another option. And as far as grants go, well, I'm dyslexic as hell, so I find it hard filling out any form. And because it's a product, that usually shuts doors before I even get to open them, you know. So it's on my own back, and but whatever, I don't care. I'm not as long as I can keep my head above water. I'll keep researching this stuff
That's
because
right.
it's valuable for everyone, I think. So
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
I can't be insular with this. It has like I look on a world scale because beekeeping is a world thing and it's so important to everyone. I'd love to get some grants because I could move way faster, right? And I could put out more information and I could repeat some of the research that I've done. For instance, the stuff you see in the video, I want to do that with really well insulated hives to show you guys the difference in behavior. But it's all money, and I just
Oh yeah.
can't. I
Have
can't
you
afford
tried
it.
contacting Randy Oliver? He's
Yeah. But yeah, that was that was a bit of a dick slapping exercise. That one. But doesn't worry me because I've got all the proof in the world to make my point. So whatever, you know.
all right.
Yeah. That's a. Well, I will try something what you Kyle try and get done here in UK. I will try and get done. I'm sure you should try in Canada. The entries what Kyle he actually produced them. Because I think that entry is quite. I could see. I didn't see the video, but I did watch the one of the video on your website, Kyle, and that believed me straight away. And when I saw that, I was like, "Wow, this is something really good for the
Yeah, well,
fight
Sebastian.
with the yellow jackets." But and
Yeah, well,
also,
watch the live stream video, and you'll see what
yeah,
I'm talking about. Because that live
I
stream is
will.
the first time I've shown all this stuff, and
Yeah,
that'll blow your mind because that's what the actual the beauty of Hivegate is. On that live stream, I've let out what the actual reason why
yeah,
Hivegate's so special because
yeah.
and you'll see why the yellow jackets have such a problem. That video that you saw was nothing really. It was cool, and if I explain the methodology behind it, you'll go holy shit. But yeah, watch that live stream and you'll see the behavior that I'm talking about, and then you'll understand why I'm so keen on testing the CO2 levels and exactly why I think there could be a change.
I believe
So
that's very important. CO2, it's even on me believe this is the key to success of, and I think that's very important.
mm,
Yeah, and I will definitely watch it, and I will definitely, guys, adding that under the live chat. That will be adding to people could get access to the live chat what they did, so they will watch it. So we'll see some people they see the different of the gates. So yeah. Well, we will finishing off in a minute. I think we got quite a long chat, 2 hours 45 minutes right now. So we say we give another 15 minutes, give our chat about. Kyle, what do you think about give the new beekeepers give a lot of advice about nukes and all the stuffs? You have experience. You could start first buying nukes
um,
and all the stuff. So
get a
new
mentor and
beekeeper.
join a club.
Yeah, that's a good point. Bob, what do you think, Bob? You have experience with nukes. You did have. Yeah,
My nukes.
with the bees. Yeah, with the
Yeah,
bees.
with bees. Yeah. So, um, yeah, I've never bought a package. I've only ever started with nukes because I felt like um, it just gives them a better foundation to start a colony when they have some drawn comb and some, established queen, some a laying queen that's with her bees gives them a good head start.
Yeah. Um. Larry? What do you think about what you will say to the beekeepers, new beekeepers about nukes?
Me?
When
Oh
the
boy,
people,
I am
well,
a
but
new beekeeper myself.
yeah, but
But
you done a beekeeping already, so you went through a lot of things, as you
I
say, a
tend
lot of hurdles.
I tend to agree with Bob. I
Yeah,
like I've never bought packages, but I get the impression that nucleus hives are better
yeah,
because they're established. They're like the queen is proven to be a good layer usually, and I also agree with I'm sorry, I don't have your name. The New Zealand beekeeper,
Kyle.
Kyle.
Kyle, that getting a mentor is a lot better than having to teach yourself. I had to teach myself. Everybody told me I did exceptionally good, but it's still nowhere near as easy, I would say, as getting a teacher. Because getting a theory for me is very easy. I find something interesting, I research it obsessively.
Yeah,
But yeah, a teacher would have been much, much better.
Well, yeah, with the mentor, my mentor, he's more of a sounding board, right? So I've got ideas, and then I can call him up and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What would you do?" Well, I would probably do this. So at least give you an option, right? So that's very helpful, even if you can't just run over there and get your hands in some bees or something, just to have an extra outside look at it, right? And it
I
might
did ask Ian for some advice, but I don't like bothering people.
yeah,
It's kind of in my nature. So, but I did ask for advice from him here and there, and he's always been kind enough to answer me. This guy is amazing. If you
yes, that's
want
right.
to have advice,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
I've got people that call me from like uh, Indiana. Hey, my bees are doing this. Okay. They're flying today. Well, they kind of fly. That's what they do, fly and make honey, you know. So, I mean, I don't mind answering questions. So if you ever have a need to call me, give me a call. It's not a problem.
what I will say to the new beekeepers, I learned the hard way as well. So when I booked on my first nuke, was very bubbly, was actually was not as strong what it should be. So what I will advise you, new beekeepers, new like Kyle mentioned, join the club. The first thing you need to do, join the club, your local club, and find out the person that you could teach you, get your roots to you how to do beekeeping if you don't know. And the second point, what I will done, is do not buy nukes over winter nukes. Do not buy it over winter nukes. Buy them from like
First
depends
year.
what area you are. Yeah, the second like the summer ones nukes. Most of the nukes over winter nukes they swarm. some of them you'll be lucky. Some of them you will not be lucky. They will go.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
overwintered, then there's old, right? Because you don't know how old
yeah,
that queen is. She may have already laid
ab-
for the whole season, then
absolutely.
overwintered, right? So
Yeah. And the next point, you remember one point what I always say, and if you watch Cayman Raymond, he could tell you it's his words, and I could repeat the words. Remember this: dead mites, good nutrient in the bees, and the bees give you a lot performance and a lot good stuff for you. You always smile at the bees. Remember that dead mites, good nutrients, one of the key in the beekeeping.
Yeah.
And a
And
great queen.
oh yeah,
Good queen.
that's
Good
the
might.
most important thing.
good
Yes, that's right.
queens, dead mites, great nutrition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the beekeepers need to know that, and also try not to be. Some people try and buy second-hand equipment. I will to you tell you all of the new people, new beekeepers, if you want to start beekeeping, or even if you are beekeeping, don't buy it. Do not buy it. Polyhives, yes, the polyhives can be clean. They can be clean. And remember, Kyle was mentioned about the if you have brood boxes are deep in wax, dipping in the wax. I'm sure you could clean them.
Yeah.
You could get good clean them.
Yeah.
But I
They
will,
yeah, we yeah, I'll just go through it again. We have all the science done over here for sterilizing
yeah,
wooden ware or hive ware. Everything but the frames, obviously. In 160-degree centigrade,
yeah.
paraffin monocrystalline wax mix or paraffin for 10 minutes. So 160 C, which is about 350 Fahrenheit, I think.
350, yes,
Um,
Fahrenheit. Yeah. That's right.
for 10 minutes is enough to get enough
Sterilize them.
penetration into the wood and kill AFB.
Yeah,
So you can do it. Whether it's worthy of doing is another question.
yeah,
But yeah, if it can sterilize for AFB, it would basically sterilizing for everything else. So that is
yeah.
one option.
But when as a new beekeeper, the best thing buy a new equipment.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't be trying save a couple of quid because the saving you could be end up with disease in the hives, and there might be the person who is selling you even don't know there was disease in there, and later on you will find out this disease that you will blame maybe him, or it be so better do not do it. Very important. I try not to buy second-hand ones. They're polyhives you can get 100% polyhive you can clean with no problem. There's a lot of stuff that you could clean them without problem. So polyhives, yes, I will buy it, but not wooden ones because, like Kyle said, you know how they should be done. But if some people doesn't done correctly, they're not 100% protection in there. They are be okay. So.
yeah. I'd back that one as well.
Of
Yeah,
course, YouTube, Dennis, yes, I will agree with you. YouTube is quite powerful in with beekeeping. You got a lot of beekeepers where, like, just example, Kyle, and just example, Bob, Cayman, and there's all a lot of beekeepers, and David Barnes, and Greg Baron Barnes is giving a lot of things, good ideas. There's a lot of beekeepers in YouTube where they will you could have a lot of good information, a lot of good tips in there, what to do with beekeeping. And I'm sure where you ask him, not even tell Ian Stapler, Ian. If you ask Ian always give you answer. And I know that myself. And even if you ask Richard Noll from France, he will give you tips a lot.
Yeah, I
Because
got
I
to
can
meet
tell you,
him at Hive Life. He's a nice guy.
absolutely, Richard,
If you
unbelievable, man. I
if
know
you
Richard. It's really nice lad, I tell you.
if you want beekeep like to learn from the point of view of new beekeepers, I would suggest also what's his name, Vino Farm. He basically started as I did. He started from scratch and he learned.
Well,
He
watch his
journeyed
older stuff.
like he documented his learning journey, if you want, kind of like
Yeah.
what I did. The way I formatted my videos is kind of like he did. I
You
just
got, you got to watch his
started
old
from
stuff though. His new stuff is all about his new hives and stuff like that.
Yeah, you got to start from the beginning. His first videos, if you want to see how a new beekeeper can learn. Same for
Yeah,
me. That's what I did. That's the reason I started my channel. Like how, basically, it's how a new beekeeper managed to pull it off.
Okay.
That's basically my videos.
I started my videos so I could go back and see what I was doing last year at the same month. Well, last year at this time I was making splits, so it's time to
Oh
make
yeah,
splits, or
incredibly useful.
yeah.
So
Like
it,
the reason I found out the reason why I failed a lot, why I lost all my first hives on the first year. I went back, checked my videos, and oh my god, they're full. I didn't give them enough space. That's why I failed on my first year.
See, and mine was just the opposite. I gave them too much space. So
they didn't heat it up. Yeah.
there's a fine line, right, that you got to
Yes,
walk.
that's right. Yeah, that is a line there. Yeah.
Keeping them strong enough,
Yeah.
but not too strong. So that's the chess of that. I kind of equate beekeeping to playing chess too, right? It's like strategy. You're trying to get them to work in a way that you want them to work, and they're trying to work in the way that nature tells them they need to work, and making that dance,
It's another what I like to mention it's what you just said, there's a barriers. Well, depends on the winter, the bees go in the winter, depends how many frames they are. There is like Kyle did mention about the CO2 in there. They produce their heat in the hives in the winter time. So if we did give them too much to do, too much heating them in there, they struggle with the heat. They struggle with the things in there. They start produce a lot of water, so the moisture's going to get crazy in there, and so that's why we losing bees because of that issues in there. So it's very interesting.
Well,
what Kyle did mention about the gates, the size of the quantity of the beehives, how it should be. So I remember I using here. I using in hives. You might see some of my videos from last year. I actually done videos. I do using we call dummy frames. So I'm sure Kyle, do you know the dummy frames?
Yeah.
So I do dummy
Yeah.
frames. So when I got 6 frames bees, I put the dummy frame in and it got 6 frames. So the concentration temperature is keeping in that space, not in all the brood box.
So the
I
Yeah, but
use
I did.
those in my
Yeah,
brood factory. I made like Michael Palmer's brood factory. I use dummy frames for insulation on
yeah,
those. It's a double nuke that I stack as high as I need to, and I
yeah,
use those to make brood for the other hives.
and
yeah.
Especially when I split, it allows me to make stronger hives faster.
So you do Mike Palmer brood factory, do you?
Yes.
Where you go? That's why you grow so fast in hives, and that's the way it is.
so
I do. I will have. I have last year a couple of hives of brood which was produced for me brood factory like Mike does. This year we will do complete new one AP typical brood factory. Will be for produce a lot of nooks, a lot of queens.
so
And
Hillbilly Earl says I have the Bob Walker method of spring brood management. So I don't really say I have a method, but he gave that to me. So what I typically do is just like you were saying how they were overpacked.
yeah,
So in the spring, as spring's starting to come on, I go through my colonies and pull all the extra honey out and spin it out.
yeah,
And give them the frames back empty, right? So now that queen has room to expand that brood box, and she's not jammed up in there,
yeah,
and she doesn't get. What I found last year is that as spring came on, brood would hatch out, and that cluster would start to shrink because as the brood would hatch out, they were filling it up with nectar and with pollen, and it was leaving her less and less room to lay. Well, then guess what? Well, we don't have any room. It's time to go, right? So I go in, and it's funny because everybody else has already sold all their honey. but I'm pulling my fall honey off in this early spring and spinning it out. Now I have honey going into before everybody else, and I'm selling it like crazy because everybody else has already sold their honey from last fall. It's gone.
So
So, I'll give you
I cannot do that. Basically because what I do, I frozen the up frames. I take the frame out, frozen up in the freezer. I got big chest freezer, sticking that in the freezer. I take it out, and I have that for nooks. So when I make a splits,
Yeah,
you
I've
know
got
what
some
happened.
nukes,
I
yeah.
just whack that up each there and there, and I got food. I don't need to worry about the nook. I just whack his 2 frames. What I will mention about Bob did mention, Bob Weiner mentioned about how to make a splits. A lot of people doesn't make a no. It's just like 2 frames and then bees and food and all that blah blah. So Bob mentioned, he's when if you look in the video how they make Bob Weiner make a video, and there is he actually put a frames from 2 different colonies in one nook. So the smell of there's a 2 different smell in the nook. So when you put a mated queen in there, there's accepting around about, like you mentioned, is a quite very good accepting you have. But when you put a nook, you make a nooks in there from one colony, there is not that successful. So I done it last year, all my splits last year, and I done exactly what Bob mentioned. And I could tell you there's now no single queen fail. Everything was like perfect. And
so
I
you
just like,
set up your nuke boxes and take a frame from this colony, a frame from that
yes,
colony.
that's right. That's right.
And just mix and match them up.
Absolutely. So the smell is mixed.
Fuses
So
the bees. And then, here's a queen. Now we got a new queen.
Yeah. So they're confused. And back to another thing where we were talking about Richard. Richard mentioned, I'm sure you've been listening on Hive Life. There was them 100% on the caging queens. This is something Richard done himself, like Kyle does research. Richard done it, how he have to fight with varroa. So he caging the queens, and his whole video in there he actually have on his YouTube. How he caging them, how he everything step by step in there. So it's a quite important of how people beekeepers, some of the beekeepers share information on YouTube. You know, it's a lot of good information the new beekeepers can learn from YouTube. There is some not good information what you don't need to learn. Better you don't learn that.
I do that too. Don't knock over your colony. Don't knock a swarm off of the top of a ladder. You know those videos.
Yeah. But it's a lot of good information we could all together learn. So I learned some of things from YouTube. I'm not saying, but we will keep on learning for years and years and years to come. So, but be honestly,
I'll give you
I believe.
I'll give you a little saying. I'll give you a little saying for everyone to think about when you when you're thinking about the size of your colony. So, colony mass. So the mass of bees, how many bees are in a colony, to the hive body ratio. Okay, so colony mass to hive ratio, hive size ratio. That's the little trick that Bob was talking about. Is that balancing act of trying to figure out, how many bees does it take to warm a space. Now that changes through the season, of course, but that little gauge there is something for people to learn. Colony mass to hive body ratio, and it's really, really important, especially getting into the colder part of the season, going through winter. There's only so many bees to heat a given space. Now, a lot of people go, well, they don't heat the space. Well, I can show you a video to contradict that. And it's not so much that they're heating the space is allowing them to stay warm. Think of it that way. But that colony mass to hive ratio is a really important part of the learnings that you have to go through when you become a beekeeper.
Like 70 to 80%, Kyle? 70, 80%?
Yeah.
Depending on the season, yeah. I as a general rule, I say 60% is a hive that's going to be able to grow at a substantial rate versus 40% bees is going to grow slower. It's a workforce to needs ratio. So needs when it comes to producing brood, keeping the brood warm, all those ratios. The higher that percentage of bees to space, the faster and more active they are with all of the growth factors. Of course, once you get too many, then you've got the swarming issue. But that's that balance you've got to try and play, right? And that's probably the third thing after queens, nutrition, and mites. That's probably the next thing I would suggest you learn as fast as you can. Yeah?
Well, I just realized with that colony that I was out there pulling that brood frame out of, they need more space right now. I mean, they were on 9 of 9 in the bottom, and I took the whole super off, so I imagine they're in the super as well.
So what I will done now, Bob, because I know you want expanding. What I will done is that 8 frames? 8 frame box.
No, it's a 10 frame box, but it's got 9 frames in it because I have a frame feeder in the bottom.
Yeah. So what I will put in there, 10 frames. I'll put in 10 frames fresh wax. I will checkerboard them. I will checkerboard that hive. You have to feed in there. Give them nice feed, like under 111. So more less more water, less sugar.
Yeah, like 0.7.
And they will draw up like. The wax will be amazing. All the wax will be beautiful draw. The colony will be on a double brood, and from double brood you will make a walking split. Basically, we'll make a lovely colony, and you could actually coming back to that colony and put another checking board. If you have nice floor, you could feed them up, feed them up, and you have another brood box, another colony, healthy colony from the same colony. You could make that through the season.
I've got about 3 weeks, and I'm going to go get probably 45 queen cells. So
that's the way you could do start now. So that I if I'm you now, tomorrow I will first thing I will down and checking boards them. So every second one from the bottom I will move them every second one. They will close nicely. They make sure they have nice feed there. They were working on the hive, and in 3 weeks time you have the queen cells. Where you go, you will get ready. The queen will laying everywhere.
Bob, what are your overnight lows right now for the next 2 weeks? What would that be?
Well, tonight or last night it was kind of crazy. Let's see what we're going to be. So obviously tonight it's supposed to get down near 0 actually, and then
okay. So what I'm going to say is what Sebastian's saying is right, but early in the season, rather than one frame of brood, one empty and one frame brood, stack them up above each other in a cylindrical shape when you've got these really cold periods. So you can do the 1-1-1 later in the season when you know you're not going to get seriously cold overnight temperatures. That's fine. Because they've got the temperature to keep the brood going, but otherwise
after tonight, it's the low is going to be 41, and then it's the low is almost 60 degrees. So they would, if it was daytime and 58, they'd be flying, right? So 70s and 58. So it's like springtime, and then Wednesday 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 64 for the low.
Yeah, so that's the only caution I'd say there is too early in the so rather than checkerboarding, for instance, early in the season, I'd put that second box on, but I'd have the brood in line with each other so they can contain that warmth. Yeah, and then later in the season when you have higher lows, better temperatures, then you can go and spread them frame for frame for frame, no problem at all.
Yeah, that's right.
Otherwise, you'll get a lot of chilled broods, right? So.
But they will you will manage to get them space, and they will building, especially if you get the syrup. The temperature is quite nice. They will get rocket. In the 3 weeks time, your colony will be double brood. I believe you will be a double brood, and as soon as you got the queen cells, you will just make the splits. You will take a one. You will get probably five nukes for the queen cells from that.
5 nukes out of the one colony.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. That's why I do checking board, because I do checking balls not for reason forget something of them. You keep them building. You keep them building. One. Secondly, you swarm performance is going down because you keep them busy. They don't
Yep.
thinking on swarming. Secondly, you got wax. I got the wax, and that's what I
Right.
want. It's fresh, nice, fresh wax. Also, you could renew our frames. So if you have frames with, they're dirty, they're 2 years old or 3 years old, and you decide they're not good enough, you take them out, you renew it, easy peasy, and that's how you
And
do
all this
all of
this
the
changes when
hives.
you use those. All of this will change when you use those poly boxes, Bob. So you're that stacking them over the top of each other early in the season for your wooden boxes is going to be crucial, but it's not going to be as crucial in your poly boxes because they've got that protection from those extremes, right?
Right.
Yeah. So think about it like that. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well,
Okay, guys,
Yep.
so we're finishing off. Thanks to all of you for coming. Thanks for the guys who was on the chat. It was great
Thank
to
you.
meet you. You got from Canada, 2 beekeepers, from New Zealand, from US. Come on, that's just we need another from Australia.
Yeah.
Some Aussies one.
I'll
I
work
don't know
on it.
any Australian beekeepers other than the flow hive guy.
I know. Next time,
The bush bee man.
Kyle can manage to get someone in there, and we could talk about what they do in varroa in Australia because they have the varroa in Australia. So
Yeah, we
Yeah,
should
I'm
get
not
the bush
sure.
bee in here.
The bush
I'm not
bee
sure
man.
how they're
He'd
going
be fun.
with that, Varroa.
sorry.
Hopefully they don't have. I really do hope for their sake that they don't have Varroa. They've had it obviously, but they've
Yeah,
had a really big effort to try and kick it in the butt before it gets established. I really hope for their sake that they do. It'd be awesome if they do. My fingers are crossed for them. But yeah, it would be interesting to get a couple of Aussie guys on to see what. Yeah, it's a different place, different environment, different methods.
there was I'll just tell you they've been burning hives over there
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
when they find out there's varroa they did they've been burning hives and a lot of stuff there was going on in there. There was
The
not
problem
great.
that one of the problems they have is that they have a lot of wild colonies, right? So
Yeah.
that could be one of the determining factors when it comes to being able to eradicate it. So, like I said, I really hope that they manage to do it. They're pretty organized, so fingers crossed. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I got
All
to
right, thanks
run.
very
Okay, man.
much. Have a great
Cool.
rest of the great
See everyone.
weekend. See you. I will do another chat probably in 2 weeks' time again. So
Well, thank you. I appreciate.
have a nice one anyway.
I'm not
And keep
getting any
keep.
blooming work done with all these chats.
Oh, you were done. You were done.
Yeah, I got people
Anyway,
wanting me to go live in a little while, so I got to go do something.
anyway, have a nice one. Thanks to meet you as well. So
See ya.
All right, guys.
thanks.
Good
Bye
night.
bye. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
See you, Sebastian. See you guys.
See you later. Yeah. Thank you.